Thank you. Fantastic. So I'm audible. You're all welcome to our session today. So we are expecting a lot more people to join us. But just before they join, I would love to know where you're joining from. All right. So we currently have about 30 people on the call, expecting more people. Just simply type your location. Where are you joining from? I'll start by typing in mine. So I'm joining from Manchester. Okay. FW is joining from London. Barnabas from Taraba, Nigeria, or here from Liverpool, Ikeja, Lagos, Toronto. Fantastic. Collins is joining from Lagos, Nigeria. Kweoluwa from the UK. Port Harcourt, brilliant. I think the Nigerians and people in the UK are leading at the moment. Nigeria, Rwanda, absolutely phenomenal. All right. Hello, Farouk. Nairobi, Kenya, beautiful. We're going to have an amazing session today. And what I'll be showing you is simple, all right? I'll show you how to become a business analyst. We'll have a practical session where we'll work together to solve a problem, okay? We'll have a practical session. From there, I'll move on to the skills you need to get when transitioning into business analysis. And a lot of people always ask this question around, oh, data analytics, business analysis, are they the same or are they different? I'm going to answer that, question today as well. When I introduce what a business analyst does, that'll be very clear eventually. So you're all welcome to the session today. I'll simply just share my slides and we'll dive into the main meat of what we have today. But just before we start, before I share my slide, if this is the first time you're joining a Tenalytics masterclass, just type in a yes into the chat. If this is your first ever Tenalytics masterclass, just type in a yes into the chat. If you're joining us for the first time, oh, Jumi is joining for the first time, Ismail. So you're all welcome, the newcomers. You're all welcome to our session today, or rather, you're welcome to our masterclass. All right, second time from iPhone. Brilliant. So let's get into it. All right, let's get into our session for today. How to begin a career as a business analyst, irrespective of where you are at the moment. You're in the UK, you're in Nigeria, you're in Nairobi, Kenya, you're in Rwanda, you're somewhere in Canada, it really doesn't matter. Or you've never done business analysis in your life before. This is the first time you are hearing business analysis. You're a total newbie into the space. How can you transition into tech as a business analyst? I would also, walk you through the process, all right? Now, first of all, who are we at Tenalytics? What are we all about? For us at Tenalytics, we are an educational technology company that focuses on helping Africans and people of the Black community to get into tech. And the way we do this is by lowering the entry barrier into tech, by providing you with the best premium training program across different areas within the tech ecosystem, from data analytics to business analysis, data engineering, data science, financial analytics, and so many other areas. And one of the things we do, and we do very well, is we bring the best of the best to help you make that transition. So you're working with professionals in the business, people that have done something similar before. They've started out as newbies and they've been able to transition and they are professionals within the space. So we work with the best professionals across the biggest organizations. Okay. Wow. Sorry about that, guys. I'm just going to mute everybody. Okay, so I'm just going to mute everyone so that we avoid distraction as much as possible. I should have done that before we started. So like I was saying, you work with professionals from the biggest organizations across the largest economies, like McKinsey, Microsoft, Apple, Procter & Gamble, Google, the big fours from Deloitte to PwC, and so on and so forth. You'd work with professionals to help you make the switch. And that's where we stand out at Tenalytics. And I'll be sharing a lot more into what you stand to gain when you join us for any of the programs that we offer. But let me start by introducing myself. My name is Adaiza Suleiman. I'm a data analytics expert. I've worked across 5 different sectors over close to a decade as a professional within the space. I'm the founder of Analytics, and I've also helped companies take data-driven decisions by taking their data, turning it into insights to help the company grow. And I've worked in different organizations with a combined valuation of over $5 billion over the span of 10 years, about a decade over the course of my career. All right. And of course, you have the Femena as well, just beside me over there, the co-founder of Analytics, also worked across major companies in the UK, worked as a business data support lead with the post office in the UK, and has helped so many other people transition into the space. And I'll be sharing my wealth of experience with you today. And I would love our session to be as interactive as possible. So I'd ask questions, and I would love for you to also ask questions as soon as the questions occur to you. You can use the chat, send the questions into the chat. I have my colleagues on the call who would also respond to some of the questions. And towards the end of our session today, I'll take questions by allowing you unmute yourself if you want to speak. All right. Now, what are we doing today? First of all, like I mentioned, we'll look at a case study, practical case study, a process optimization case study for a company in the automobile sector or in the automobile industry. All right. We'll look at that and see how to optimize their processes, because that's one of the major objective of a business analyst, process optimization. All right. Number 2, we'll dive into the pathway to becoming a business analyst. So what are the things you need to look out for? What do you need to learn? Because one of the mistakes I see people making is they start from somewhere. And because today we live in a world where information is all over the place. So you have people start from a particular stage, a particular level, and they watch YouTube videos for the next 1 year, and they still haven't transitioned. So what are the specifics you need to learn to transition into business analysis? I'll be talking about that, and then we'll move into introduction into our upcoming business analysis program starting on the 2nd of September, next week, Saturday. And then I'll share some success stories with you. People that are currently in your shoes, all right? They are newbies. They were newbies into the space, but they were able to join the program. We worked with them, they got jobs, and today they work in the biggest organizations in the UK, in Canada, and other areas across Africa, and so on. So I'll share the success stories with you as well. All right, so that's what our session would be about today. Okay, now we're going to move into the practical bits of what we have today. And I need your rapt attention, because like I said, we'll work together to solve this problem. I'm not going to solve it myself, but I'll need your input. I'll need you to, contribute to the solution eventually. And if you want to work with me, all the things I'll be doing, you want to follow me and do the same thing, I would advise you to maybe connect using your mobile phone. Connect with 2 devices, all right? So you can watch me with your mobile phone while you practice using your computer. However, if you don't have that set up already, don't fret, no problem. Every single thing we're going to do is recorded. And for those that stay till the end of the session, the recording will be made available to you. You'd get the slides, you'd get all the materials, and at your own convenient time, you can then go build your own process map. All right? So let's get into it. Let's look at the case study. Who is a business analyst? First of all, who is a business analyst? People ask this question and they get so confused. And one of the funny questions I always get is data analytics and business analysis, or a data analyst and a business analyst, do they do the same thing? I say it's a funny question simply because Lexi is saying they can't hear anything. I just want to confirm that I'm still audible. I believe I'm audible anyways. But Ubong, can you confirm that you can still hear me, please?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, brilliant. Okay, now people always confuse a data analyst for a business analyst, but there are 2 very distinct roles, very distinct. Yes, there is a particular aspect where they converge in terms of they get to work together. However, Apart from that area where the business analyst would need to work with the data analyst or the data engineer or the development team, they perform totally two different roles. So who is a business analyst? Number one, a business analyst is that person that serves as a bridge between the business and the technology team. All right? That person that serves as a bridge, as a connector between the business and the technology team. And I would explain what that means. Every business wants to either, increase their revenue, which of course would increase profits, or reduce costs to also optimize profits. Every business on earth wants to, stay in business by increasing revenue, reducing profits, reducing costs, I beg your pardon, and so on and so forth. Now, for that to happen, a lot of things in the process of delivering the service or delivering the products that business does must be streamlined. All right. Let's take, for example, that you work in a business that, sells cement for building. All right. Now, when a customer orders cement, it gets into the business. Somebody needs to prepare that order and they deliver the order to the customer. It follows a particular process. What does the business analyst do? The business analyst would come into the business and look at the different processes internally within the business from point A to point B. What different activities take place before we eventually complete this entire process? It takes us about 5 activities and maybe 2 days to complete this process. How can we reduce this process from 2 days to 2 hours or 1 hour? By optimizing the processes. That's what the business analyst does. So the business analyst comes into the business, looks at the processes, identifies the current process. This is what we currently do. Now, for us to reduce this process from 2 days to 1 hour, we need to automate. We need to build an application. We need to build a software. All right. The business analyst then gathers all the requirements. What do we need to be in this software? The business analyst would sit with the different teams, the different stakeholders in the business, and gather and collect all the requirements that they need to develop that software or application that would optimize the process or automate the process. The business analyst would then take all those requirements and pass it over to the development team. Those are the IT experts, the software developers, the Power Platform developers that will develop the solution. All right. So as a business analyst, you are that interface between that technology team that will develop the application or the software to speed up the process, automate the process, and the business itself that currently needs that solution. So that's the role of the business analyst. You are also a change enabler. You enable change in the business. You enable change in the business by, first of all, identifying the gaps. So when you look at a process, you ask yourself the question, what are the gaps in this process? We've looked at A to Z. We've identified gaps in the process. For us to close these gaps, we need to do 1 or 2 things to close the gap. So those 1 or 2 things to close the gap will be facilitated by the business analyst. Ugochukwu, you have a question, type your question and send it into the chat, all right? Type your question and send it to the chat and I'll take your question, Ugochukwu. So as a business analyst, you are a change enabler, all right? You also ensure that you understand the business, you know the business objectives and where the business wants to go to. So the next 2 years, the next 3 years, the next 5 years, what is the growth plan of the business and how do we get there? All right. So that's what the business analyst does. In summary, so many other things, but in summary, that's what the business analyst does. Totally different from a data analyst. So as a business analyst, you do a lot of process mapping. You map out current processes that exist in the business, look for inefficiencies, look for gaps, and look for the solutions to optimizing the process, so that when you have a process that takes 2 days, if a full day to get executed, you reduce it to 1 hour, 30 minutes. 30 minutes, something that used to take 24 hours. So by doing that, the company tends to do more work. The company is more productive, which would impact revenue and also reduce, cost and so on and so forth. That's the fundamental objective of the business analyst. Okay. Now that we've known what the business analyst does, in a summary, right, as an overview, the business analyst is the bridge between the business and the development team. Okay, now we're going to look at a particular process optimization case study. We'll look at a process optimization case study and we'll all work together to come up with a solution. All right, a lot of people are saying they can't hear me. I believe I'm audible to a large extent. So Ubong would work with you guys to help you address the issues you have with the audio. The case study we have today is a process optimization case study for a company in the automobile industry. And I'll quickly just read it out and I'll ask you questions afterwards. And I'd love you to just volunteer to speak, unmute yourself and tell us what you think the problems are with it, with this particular company. Now, Caravan Manufacturing is a mid-sized company specialized in the production of automotive parts. When a customer orders for a part, the orders are received via email and manually entered into an Excel spreadsheet. A staff then checks the inventory for the required parts and updates the spreadsheet and the ship to the customer. All right. So if the parts are not available, what happens? They are manufactured and the Excel spreadsheet is also updated. This process involves multiple steps when they have to manufacture the parts, which includes the material procurement. They need to get the materials. They have the guys, the machinists who would work and, frame the different parts to build the parts. And then you have the quality control that will check to ensure that the final product is good to go. Now, when the parts are assembled to the final product, of course, quality control would look at that. After quality control has looked at the final product and approved the order for shipping, the products are then packaged and shipped to the customer. So this is what they currently do. Caravan Manufacturing. So Caravan Manufacturing, they produce and they also sell automotive parts to their customers. However, customers order by sending an email. When the email comes in, somebody would have to go to an Excel spreadsheet to check, do we have this part available? If they have the part available, they update the Excel spreadsheet and then they send a message to the shipping team and the shipping team would ship it to the customer. If the part is not available, what happens? They'll then send it to procurement. Procurement would look at the parts and then decide to go get the items, give it to the guys that will build that particular part, manufacture the part. Quality control would check to ensure that everything is good. And then they send it to shipping and shipping would send it to the customer. That's the current process. Now, the problem the company has is simple, all right? And that problem is the company has been facing challenges in its production process. And this has been leading to delays, increased costs, decreased customer satisfaction, and so on and so forth. Looking at their current process, what do you think would be the challenge that this company has or this company currently faces? Looking at their current process, what do you think would be their challenge? All right, so let's see if you want to answer based on what we have. You can use the raised hand icon. I'll call you up to speak. And then let's get to hear what you have to say. I have Razak. Razak's hand is up. So Razak, are you raising up your hand to answer the question or is that for something else? So let me call up on Alexander. So Alexander, I'll allow you unmute yourself. So let's hear from you, Alexander. Go ahead, please.
One of the problem I foresee is their machineries may be having problem or having issues while running the production, which may cause the production or producing it on time.
Okay. So problems with their machines, correct? Problems with the machines. Thank you very much for thank you very much for that, Alexander. Let's hear from Towoju. Towoju, I've asked you to unmute yourself. Let's hear from you, please.
Okay, good evening, everybody from here. Well, I feel their challenge is that for me, they do not know the highest numbers of parts that is being ordered for. If they know the highest number, for instance, the highest number of the parts that is being ordered for, probably they will be able to have that on ground. So when there is a request, they'll be able to meet up with the timing to satisfy their customers.
Fantastic, brilliant. So simply, what Towoju is saying is that there should be some level of analytics, maybe at the end of the week or even real time. What parts are customers ordering the most? Is it this part or that part, so that we can have them in stock? Correct? And when you look at that, what it simply means, there is a term I would have loved Towoju to use, but you've given us the answer, Towoju, actually, by saying they don't know, they have no idea on what they need to, have in stock to eventually solve the problems that they have. So let's get to hear from Greg. I'll hear from maybe two more people and then we'll move on. I'll hear from Greg and then from Engineer Agbaje. So Greg, go ahead, please.
Hi, everybody. One of the problems I think they have is the ordering process and the data input process. I think it's possible for them to have these processes automated. So when you call in or you order online, it goes through a process where they take in your name, your info, and also have that data stored, and also check their inventory to see if they have that part in the order, in their store. So that way, the processes of them going through those numerous redundant steps will be greatly eliminated. I don't know if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Makes a lot of sense. A whole lot of sense, Greg. Thank you very much for that. Brilliant. Unfortunately, I can't take everybody, but I'll take, I think, Engineer Agbaje, and then we'll move on. Engineer Agbaje, please go ahead.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I believe one of the challenges of the company is communication problem. There must be a communication gap that they need to fill up at that level, because at some point, if the quality control and the machining department were not in we have this issue of communication, there is tendency that there might be a delay in the supplying of this particular product. Thank you.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Engineer Agbaje. Communication is very key. And of course, communication is one of the fundamental, responsibilities of the business analyst. Now, you've all mentioned a lot of things, and I've taken notes. Alexander said problem with the machines. Towoju said they don't know the highest number of parts or the frequently ordered parts that customers would request for. Greg also talked about automating the ordering process, and Engineer Agbaje said communication gap. So there are so many gaps. And this is the beauty of business analysis. What we are doing, what we've just done, is a key activity of a business analyst role. The only difference is we don't work with this company, but imagine we worked with the company. Alexander works in the procurement department. Towoju works in the materials department. Greg works with the shipping department. We bring everybody together. And as the business analyst, we ask questions after looking at the processes. So currently, what is the process? What does the process look like? And we start that's called elicitation. We are getting information from people through interviews, asking questions, knowing the type of questions to ask, and so on and so forth. Having all of this would then give us insight into what we need to solve. And there are so many ways of solving this. So what we'll be doing today is not is not set in stone. That's not the final. It's one way of solving the problem. And I'm going to follow what Greg and Towoju, I'm going to combine their contributions. Towoju said they don't know what people order. And that's simply what? They don't have an inventory management system. No inventory management. And once you don't have inventory management, what happens? You don't know what people want. You only get to prepare when people request for it. However, if you know what you have in store and what you don't have in store, you can prepare for a potential customer who would request for a part. And how do you do this? Having an inventory management system. So that inventory management system where you have every part tagged with RFID codes, you have every part tagged. So the moment a part leaves the store, it is scanned and automatically it is taken off from the inventory. So the moment you have low stock for a particular part, what do? You refill. You order for that part. So you don't have a stock out problem where a particular part is totally out of stock and you only get to find out when the customer orders. So even before the customer orders, you should know the stock you have, the stock that are low and what you have in stock. So that helps you to plan and it helps you to prepare. And that's simply what an inventory management system would help us do. So without going too detailed or without going too, I would say, without going too detailed into this particular case study, the idea or the plan is to implement an inventory management system, straightforward, with all the issues we have. But first of all, what do we want to do? We need to map out the process. So when we map out the process, it gives us a very clear picture on how the process starts and how the process is going to end. All right, and we're going to use a tool called draw.io. Draw.io is a diagramming tool that a business analyst would use. So for diagramming, process mapping, process flow charts, you have draw.io, you have charts, you have tools like Microsoft Visio, which is something you can use as well. But today we're going to use draw.io because that's easily accessible to everybody. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And what I'll do is we'll go into draw.io and map out the processes. The current process, which is what the company currently, operates, and then would implement solution to help optimize the process so that we have the future state or the future process or the to-be process, which is the optimized process eventually, to reduce the issues that the company currently faces. All right, draw.io. Yes, Joanna, I'm going to type it in the chat. Don't worry. Okay, so let's get into it. Don't worry, I'll share my screen so you'd see exactly what I'm doing at every point in time. And like I said, for those of you that want to follow me, please feel free to do that. And my advice is, if you find it challenging, maybe because of, you are not watching with two devices, you have just a single device, and it will be a bit difficult for you to implement every single thing I'll be doing, just watch me and ask questions, okay? And at the end of the session, we're going to send you the recording and you can implement all the things I'll be showing you, all right? So let's go and type draw.io. So just go to your browser. I'm going to drop that in the chat. Go to your browser, type draw.io. I'll drop it in the chat right now. All right. So everybody can access. Joanna has actually typed it already. So draw.io, search for that on your browser and you'd see draw.io, diagrams, nets, and that's where we want to go to. All right. So I'm going to right click on this and open in a new tab. All right. And open in a new tab. Okay. So I'll slow down a bit for those who would love to follow. All right, I'm just going to slow down a bit. So when you search draw.io on your Google Chrome, you'd see different links, diagrams.net, that's where we want to get to. Right click on that, open in a new tab, and then you'd have something like this. All right, what do we want to do? We want to create a process flow chart to show what the current process is, and we want to optimize that process. Okay, so this is what we're going to have. You have create a new diagram, open existing diagram. Create a new diagram, open existing diagram. All right, so I'm going to create a new diagram. So I'll click on create a new diagram. And once you do this, of course, you'd see where you have your file name. So you enter the name of the file, the new file you want to create. You can always come back to this later. You can open it afterwards to work on it and so on and so forth. All right. We want to open up a blank diagram. Okay. And I want to call the name of this diagram Caravan. I want to call it what? Caravan. Okay, so I'm just going to change the name to Caravan. So once you've done that, make sure you select the blank diagram and then click on create. So it's going to ask you where you want to create. I want to create it on my desktop. So I'm going to click on desktop and then I'm going to click choose a name. I'm going to choose a name and then I'll type Caravan again. And then I'll click on save. You can call it anything. I'm just calling it Caravan because the name of the company is Caravan Automobile. So I click on save and then that would create, I click on create and then it creates a blank page for me. All right, let's cancel this. It creates a blank page for me. And this is where we're going to build our process. And I'll switch between this draw.io and the slide where we have the case study. So we map out the processes step by step. Now remember, the very first step is the company would receive an email. And when the company receives the email, what happens? The person who receives the email would forward that email to the inventory team to find out if we currently have that in stock or not. All right. So the company receives the email. The person who receives the email forwards that email to inventory. Okay. So let's map out the process one by one. Now, to start a process, we're going to use the circle, or it's called an ellipse. All right. We'll use the ellipse to start the process. And like I said, you really don't have to do this with me step by step. You can just watch, ask questions to ask, oh, why did you do it this way? Why did you do it that way? And then we would have that interaction. Later on, you can do it at your own convenience. Okay, so I'm going to click on ellipse. And this would create, an ellipse shape for me. What do I want to do? This is the start. This is where the process would what? Start. And just to illustrate that, I'm going to double click. I'll double click on this ellipse and then I'll type what? Start. Okay, double click on it and type start. Before I continue, I want to be sure that you can see my screen clearly. Okay, Ubong, is my screen, is it large enough? Can you see what I'm doing clearly? Is it?
Yeah, we can see it. No, it's cool. It's cool.
All right, that's fine. It's clear. Okay, brilliant. I was thinking if I needed to, maximize, but that's fine. So double click and type in start. That's the very first step. Now, after we start the process, what happens? Customer orders via email. The customer would make the order via email. And once you hover your mouse around any shape you've added into your draw.io, you see the different arrows pointing upwards, to the right, backwards, and so on. So I'm just going to move it to the one pointing to the right, and then I'll select this shape to enter the next activity. All right. So I'm going to click on this shape to enter the next activity. To type into any shape you've entered, all you need to do is double click on that shape and then you can type. So I'm going to double click on the shape. And what do I want to type? Customer orders via email. Okay, the customer would make the order via email. And like I said, what we are simply trying to do is there a reason for starting with the ellipse? Yes, there is, and I'm going to send that in the slides that you have. All right, the different shapes have their own different meaning, really. And to start a process, the ellipse starts, and you use that to also end the process as well. Something like that, okay? So I'm going to share that in the slide so you get to have that, okay? So you see all the different shapes and what they stand for eventually. You use these rectangles to enter your activities. All right, so we start the process, customer orders via email. After that, what happens? Enter another activity. The team that receives the email sends it to what? The inventory. All right, so the order team sends email to inventory, to the inventory team. Let's put it that way. So the person that receives the order team sends an email to inventory. Now, what is inventory meant to do? Inventory then goes, a staff from inventory goes to an Excel sheet. They work with Excel. They don't have any system. They work with Excel. So they go to Excel to check, do we have these parts ready? Do we have it available or not? All right. So that's another activity for the staff member to actually check the Excel sheet. So I'm going to click on another activity and I'll double click in there and I'll say inventory staff member will then what? Check Excel sheet for parts availability. All right, so that's the next step. So from where the process starts, the customer orders via email, the order team sends the email to inventory, a staff member of inventory will then check. Now, a decision needs to be made at this point when the inventory staff, when the staff checks, is the part available? Yes or no? If it is yes, then they send it to the shipping team. If it is no, they need to manufacture. All right, so a decision needs to be made. And for the decision, we use this shape called the diamond shape. The diamond is used for decisions. All right, so I'll just simply click here. Without clicking, when you hover your mouse on any shape, like I said, you'd see the arrows. So I go to the right arrow and then I'll select the diamond shape for decision. So I click on diamond and I'll type in there, parts available with a question mark. Is that part available? Yes or no? Is that part available? Yes or no? All right. So if the part is available, so we're going to enter two activities. If it is available, send to the shipping team. If it is not available, then you need to take a different action. All right. So here, I'm going to enter an activity here. All right. So this is for yes. I'll enter another activity here as well for no. One is for yes, the other one is for no. So let's assume, and for me to type in the yes or no, all I need to do is double click on the line. All right. So if I double click on this line, I can type. So yes, I type in yes. I double click on the other line and I type in no. All right. So this is a decision that needs to happen. When the staff member checks, is the part available? If it is yes, then we send to where? Send to shipping. And if it is no, what happens? We trigger what? For that part to be manufactured. All right. So those are the two possible outcomes. So this next step would be inventory sends to where? Procurement. Because the procurement team will then need to get all the parts for us to manufacture what that customer has ordered for. Because guess what? We don't have it. All right. So if the part is available, we send it to shipping. If it is not available, the inventory sends to where? To procurement. And what will procurement do? Procurement would then get the items or get the different materials and parts needed and would send it to the machinist. The machinists are the ones who, couple the parts, produce the parts before sending it to the customer. So let's enter another activity, which is what? Procurement gets all the materials and sends to machinist. All right. When they send to the machinist, what's the next step? The next step is the machinist will then what? Assemble all the parts, manufacture the parts. So that's the next step. I'm just going to type that here. The machinist manufactures, let's just say assembles. Let's use assemble. The machinist assembles the parts for final product. All right. Now, in the process of doing that, once the machinist is done, the next step is where the quality control will check to be sure that the final product is what? Good, meets the required quality standards to be shipped out to the customer. So let's enter another activity. And this is where quality control carries out quality checks on final product. Okay, so once quality control has checked the final product, sees that everything is good, what next? They send it to the shipping team. Shipping sends to the customer. All right, so the next step would be for quality control to send to where? Shipping. Okay, so they send to shipping, and shipping dispatches to customer. Now, bear in mind that if quality control checks and it is not up to standard, there needs to be another flow for that, another chart for that. But we're not going to bother ourselves with that at this point in time. For us, the focus is on what? Understanding the current process as given to us by the case study, and then optimize that process, implementing what Towoju and Greg gave, which is checking, having a system that gives us some level of real-time insight into the parts that we have available and what we don't have available, which is an inventory management system. All right. And once they send it to the dispatch to customer, what happens? Customer receives and sends updates via email. All right. So customer would send update via email. And then what happens? The process ends. Okay. The process ends. Let's use an ellipse as well for the end of the process. Okay. So here the process what? Ends. Okay. Now looking at what we've done, the process started from here. The customer sends an email to order for the item. The order team sends to inventory. Inventory checks their Excel to be sure if they have it available or not. Now, is the part available? If it's yes, they send to shipping. If it is no, they send to procurement. Procurement will then get the materials, give it to the machinist. The machinist would assemble. Quality control would check, and they dispatch to customer. Customer confirms that they have received. Now, I want to connect this sends to shipping. I want to connect it to where shipping receives and then they send to customer. So instead of having it as a separate process, so what I'm simply going to do is I'm going to drag this down somewhere here. Okay, so I'm just going to drag this somewhere here. All right. So just pardon me. I'm going to move everything downwards so that it aligns with what we're trying to achieve. All right. So this is no. I'm just going to move yes to this point. So it's still the same decision we're trying to take. The only difference is instead of having it at the right-hand side, I just brought it here. So now I'm going to connect if the part is available and it is yes, it means we send to shipping and shipping sends to customer and the process can end. So here I'm going to take this out and I'll just simply connect my arrow to where? Shipping. Okay. And this is what the current process looks like. This is our current process. Starts, email is received, sends to the inventory team. Inventory team will check the Excel to be sure that the part is available or not. Is the part available? Yes. If it is available, they send it to shipping. Shipping sends to customer. Customer confirms they've received and the process ends. If the part is not available, what happens? Inventory sends it to procurement. Procurement would get the items, give it to the machinist. Machinist would prepare, produce that particular item, and then quality control would check, send it to shipping. Shipping would send to customer. Customer would confirm, and the process ends. But now, Toju and Greg has said, let's implement an inventory management system because a lot of mistakes can happen. When somebody sends the email and I have to work with an Excel sheet, what if I forget to update the Excel? What happens? If I don't update my Excel, it means I would have a false sense of confidence that the item is available. However, that item has left the store already because somebody forgot to update the Excel. So it's very manual. And because of the manual process, people forget. And when a customer orders for an item, that's when everybody remembers that, oh, we did not update the Excel sheet and we have to start producing. Procurement has to kick off the process and it's always very time consuming. Sometimes customers would say, we don't want anymore. It's going to take too long for it to get manufactured. So forget about it. And that's where the business analyst comes in. Would sit down with all the different stakeholders, understand the process, look for the loopholes, look for the gaps, and there are so many gaps, all right? So at the end of our session today, once we've created the optimized process, I want you to go back, look at it yourselves, all right? And think of other ways you think you can implement, close more gaps, and even streamline the process a little bit more, okay? Now, let's change this process. Let's optimize it so that it is faster. I'll call this the as-is process, which is the current state. The current state. Now, you can put colors if you want to put colors. How do you put colors to your different shapes? If I click on the shape, at the top where I have all the tabs over here, you'd see the fill, okay, the fill color. If I click on the fill color, I can select a color. Let's select green for start. I'll select green for start, and then I'll select red for end. You can also color your different, processes, your decision, diamonds and so on, just to give it a bit of color and easy for people to follow. So this process is for the stakeholders. Anybody who sees this knows what our current ordering process is all about. How does it start? How does it end? That's the whole idea, right? So I'm going to change this to red. Click on that, click on the fill color, and I'll click on the red color, click on apply, and then I have red. When you're doing yours, please feel free, change as many colors as you want to make it look good, all right? Now, let's change the name of this tab. At the down left corner, if you look at my mouse, you'd see where it is hovering and it says page 1. So I'll simply double click on that. And once you double click on the name of the tab, page 1, you can change this to what? As is. Okay, as is, I can put in a bracket. Let's call it current state. Okay, so this is the current state or the as is state. This is what it is at the moment. All right, and I'll click on rename, and that's my current state. We want to optimize to have the future state. And this is what we're going to recommend to the management or to the stakeholders. This is what I think we need to do. All right. So I'm just going to right click on this tab that says as is or current state, and then I'll click on duplicate. Okay. And once I click on duplicate, I have the same chart I just created. I have it duplicated over here, and I'll change the name as well from copy to future state or to be state. So I'll double click on that. And instead of as is, I'll change it to what? To be. Right? To be is the future state, how we think it should be once we've optimized. Okay, and instead of current, I'll just put in here future. Okay, and click on rename. Now let's implement what Toju and Greg has said. And there are so many things we can actually change. Okay, but we're just going to make it simple just for you to have an understanding of the business analyst role and what they have to do. Now, once the process starts, what happens? We haven't automated the ordering process. So the order still comes in via what? Email. The order still comes in via email. But this time around, because we are implementing an IMS, which is an inventory management system, where once the order is entered into the inventory management system, immediately it sends a message to the shipping team that the part is available. Now, the beauty of the inventory management system is it gives us real-time insights into what is available and what is not. So on a Saturday, I know the number of parts I have in the store. All right. And when I have a low stock level, there is a certain reorder level that would have been set that once this particular stock gets to 10, maybe you have 1,000 in the store or you have 100. Once it gets to 10 items available for that particular part, trigger a reorder, notification that we need to reorder this part. So there would be no single point in time where we have a part that is not available. We have all the parts and they're always available because we have an inventory management system that tracks what leaves the store and what goes into the store using RFID tags. So those RFID tags automates what goes into the store and what leaves the store. So when something is leaving, we scan it and it automatically removes it from the inventory stock level. When you buy new stock, you also put your tags, scan them, and they add into your inventory. So you have very good insights. And going by what Toju has also said, that gives us data for us to analyze. What parts do we order the most? Do customers order the most? And with that, we can, prepare even well ahead of time and so on. So now, rather than sending an email to the inventory system, we have what? Enter order details into inventory management system. Okay, so enter the order details into inventory management system. Let's call it the IMS, the inventory management system. Now, the inventory management system eliminates this checking of Excel, updating of Excel. Is it available? Is it not available? It takes it out completely. Why? Because with the inventory management system, the parts are always available. They're always available. All right. So immediately you enter the details into the inventory management system here. The IMS sends a notification to the shipping team. And what happens? All these steps are gone. I'm going to take out all these steps. Okay. And then what happens? Shipping, sorry about that. Shipping dispatches to customer. Customer confirms that they've received. And then what happens? The process ends. I'm just going to take this out, sorry. And then what happens? The process ends. So we eliminated a lot of steps. But now, make no mistake that I know there'll be the argument of mistakes could happen with the inventory management system. So what if we have mistakes with the inventory management system? Then it also has to trigger for that particular part to be manufactured. But we are working with a scenario that we have stock reorder levels for every part that we have in our inventory. And what does that mean? It means that if we have maybe, let's say the rim of the tire is one of the items we sell and we have in the store. We have, at every point in time, we have 100. The moment it gets to 10, it triggers a notification that we need to restock. And then without a customer ordering for that particular rim, we start to manufacture. And we manufacture 90 until we have 100 at every point in time. And that's what the inventory management system does for us. So we are working with that mindset that simply says that with the inventory management system, rather than waiting for customers to request, we will already have it in store because the inventory management system would have triggered a notification for us to manufacture in time. So the optimized process or the future state is a state where you start the process, the customer orders via email, the order team would enter into the inventory management system, a notification will be sent to the shipping team, shipping would dispatch to customer would receive and updates, and then the process ends. All right. Now, to come up with this optimized process, we had to do what? We had to look at the current state. What do we currently have? So if I go back to the current state, this is what we had initially. And this was why the business had problems. Looking at this area where the inventory, I'm just going to mark the areas where we had problems. I'll mark them red. We had problems here. We had problems here. All right. Which was the manual process of somebody going into an Excel sheet. So the moment a mistake is made in that Excel sheet, all hell is let loose because we have taken out items and we don't know that we've actually taken out those items. And until another customer orders, before we figure out that, oh, we don't have this item, we need to manufacture it. So eliminating this manual process with an inventory management system gives us a more streamlined process that would reduce the redundancy, reduce the amount of time it takes, and we always have inventory available to give to our customers whenever they request for it. We had our current state. We did a gap analysis. We asked questions. Alexander, Towoju, Greg, Engineer Agbaje, all representing key stakeholders within the business, and we identified areas where you could have problems, and we proffered a solution to implement an inventory management system. Now, before I leave my draw.io, as the business analyst, when you recommend that a new system or an application needs to be implemented, you would have to come up with the requirements, okay? So this particular application, should it have the ability to send messages? What do you think we should include? If we buy it off the shelf or we have to build, is it available to buy off the shelf? If what we want is not available off the shelf, can we build our own inventory management system? So these are the questions you would ask, and you would be responsible for managing that project, the implementation of the project. You would project manage it, so you'd need to understand project management methodologies. What project management methodology are we going to deploy? Are we going to deploy Agile and so on and so forth? How do I track all the activities to ensure that the requirements we had set out from the beginning, we implement all those requirements in our inventory management system? You'd also need to understand the software development lifecycle, how a software is built from when you plan to when you start to implement and build, monitor, test it, maintain, and so on and so forth. So understanding the software development lifecycle, how a software is developed, understanding how to manage projects using different project management methodologies and tools to tracking projects like Jira, Trello to track project activities are the responsibilities of the business analyst. So as the business analyst, you're not just eliciting information, interviewing different stakeholders to understand what they need in terms of requirement for a system you are recommending to be implemented. But you are also managing that project to implementing that system. You are interfacing with the technology team. These are the requirements from the business, and this is what you have to build. So you would be that bridge. Remember the definition of the business analyst. You are the bridge between the business and the development team. So you'd work with the development team, with the developers that will be building that system, ensuring that all the requirements captured are what? Developed. Okay, and that's the role of the business analyst. So we have our current state, we have the future state. And like I said, please feel free, try out different other things. Okay, what if we automate the ordering system, whereby we have an application, so we don't even need anybody to enter any data or any details into the inventory management system. So you have an app. As a customer, I request for what I want, or I go to the company's website and I request for what I want. Automatically, it goes into the inventory management system. It checks, sends it to shipping, and all of that. Okay, what if we implement that? And I want you to allow your imagination to run wild. Okay, allow your imagination to run wild while you try to resolve this. And this is the beauty, like I said, of the business analyst. So I'm simply just going to go back to my slide, and I want to get to hear from maybe one or two people, and then I'll show you the skills, and we'll do that for the next 1 hour. Show you the skills of what it takes to be a business analyst. What do you need to have? Is it just draw.io? Is it just all about what we've done today in the last 40 minutes? Is that all what business analysis is all about? Or are there different skills, technical skills that I need to have as a business analyst to get a job across different regions, different locations, and so on and so forth? Okay, so I would, talk about that. But let's get to hear. Greg is asking, as a business analyst, how do you know the right stakeholders before you start the elicitation process? Fantastic. So as the business analyst, there is a process. So let's assume if we have issues, let's assume that we have problems with regards to employee performance. Okay, so our new employees or new people that join the business are not performing as well as those that have been in the business for a very long time. All right, so we are bringing in new employees into the company, and those employees are not performing as well as the employees we've had for the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years. As the business analyst, you're going to ask questions. All right, who will you ask the first question? Employee performance, there are issues with that particular problem. Who is the first person you would ask the question on employee performance? The very first person, not the only person, but I'm just asking. This question is to everybody generally. Who do you think you would ask questions? Employee performance. The new employees are not performing as well as the older employees. Greg said HR. Absolutely. That's the very first person you would ask. Human resources, the people officer, the HR business partner, you would ask HR questions. Why? Because HR is the custodian of that process. Okay, HR is the custodian of the process. So when you look at processes, you look for all the people responsible for executing that process, end to end. Is there at any point in time HR would have to interface with a different other department? So once you've identified your first stakeholder, you look at the process. Oh, this is a HR related problem. All right. So HR is involved in this process. You meet with the head of HR, or you meet with the people operations officer to ask questions. From there, you get to identify all the other different stakeholders. And that's usually how you identify your stakeholders within the company. And from there, you can, have your sessions, interview all the different stakeholders to get the crux of what you have to do eventually. And can you work remotely? Absolutely. Business analysts can work 100% remotely. All your different, your workshops, your Scrum ceremonies, everything you need to do can be done online. You can do everything online. Okay, they can be done virtually on Teams, on Zoom, and different other tools that are available. Okay, so very fantastic question, Greg, and thank you for asking that question. All right, now we've looked at what a business analyst does and definitely what you need as a business analyst. What tools do you need? First of all, you need to have analytic skills. Okay, and I'll explain. The analytic skills you need to have: Excel, Power BI, and SQL. SQL is structured query language, which is a language to interact with databases. Excel will be used for analytics, for analyzing data, understanding, getting data, analyzing the data, extracting insights to help the company take decisions. Power BI as well for analytics, for data visualization. SQL, SQL would help you interact with databases. Now, the reason why, because a lot of people would argue and say, oh, as a business analyst, I don't think I need Excel. I don't think I need Power BI. I don't think I need SQL. And to an extent, you might be right. But at the same time, if you don't have these skills, you reduce your competitive edge. When you look at the people you'll be competing out there in the job market, you'd find out that those that have the ability to analyze data, they get, they get to be at an advantage compared to you without the skills. And we saw this from numerous job, out there, job vacancies from different companies that we were looking at across different regions, in the UK, in Canada, across Africa, in Nigeria, in Ghana, South Africa, across Europe, across the US. And we saw that, look, business analysts of today are required to have some understanding of how to manage, analyze, and visualize data. You can't run away from it. All right, because sometimes for you to even make sense of what you are doing, of the problem that exists, you need to be able to look into the data, analyze the data yourself, and come up with insights. Not as, detailed, or your understanding would not be as deep as the data analyst, but you need to have these skills in analytics. That's the very first skill you need to have. Afterwards, you move into process mapping. We looked at just a little bit of process mapping, what process mapping is all about. We didn't go too deep, we didn't go too detailed, but just to see how you look at a process, map out that process. So today we've looked at the ordering process for caravan, automobile. Tomorrow you could be looking at a process, a recruitment process in a company. How do we optimize our recruitment process? If our current employees are not performing as well as the previous employees we've had in the business, can we look at the process, the recruitment process, and see where we could be having lapses? Did we change the channels we get employees from? Did we change our recruitment channels? What happened? So as a business analyst, you are creating process maps, because that gives you a clear picture end to end of what needs to be done with regards to blocking leakages, covering gaps, optimizing the process, and so on. So you have a current process, or an as-is process, the current state. You cover the inefficiencies, optimize, automate some processes, and then you have what? A future state, or a to-be process. So process mapping is absolutely important for a business analyst. Now, we saw that the little case study we just looked at, we saw that we needed to implement an inventory management system. All right. What did we find out when we, identify that? We need to get the development team to build one for us. It could be in-house. We have an in-house team that can build applications for us. As the business analyst, you are going to initiate and plan that project. Okay, so from planning the project end to end, how do you start? By gathering the requirements, ensuring that everything needed to start this project is available. All right. And of course, you need to understand project management methodologies to help you ensure that you meet all the project requirements. You stay, at the required timeline for executing that project. You also don't overrun the costs budgeted for that project, the quality and everything like that. You ensure that you are able to maintain all of those project deliverables. You also need to understand the software development lifecycle, because you will be involved in managing projects with regards to what? Automation, application, building of software. So you need to have very good understanding of the software development lifecycle. Requirement fundamentals, that's your number one objective. Gathering requirements, elicitation, stakeholder analysis and engagements. Like Engineer Agbaje said, communication. How best do I communicate with the stakeholders? When do we need to meet? How can I get information from them? And so on and so forth. These are the core skills you need as a business analyst. And for you to manage your projects, for example, you need to understand tools like Jira. You need to understand how to use Trello. For communication, you use tools like Slack, Teams, and so many other tools. For your diagrams, your wireframing, process mapping, you use tools like Draw.io, Microsoft Visio, which are the different tools you'd use in our business analysis program. Right? One other thing we've added into the program is ChatGPT for business analysis. And I'll tell you for a fact, for those who haven't used ChatGPT before, you are missing out on something super amazing. All right? And I'm even talking about the free to use ChatGPT. For those who have the paid version of ChatGPT, it is absolutely mind-blowing. All right? Because what happens is your work is a lot more reduced, simply because you now have a large language model or a generative AI tool that can speak to you. You ask questions and it gives you feedback based on the prompts you have given to it. So it makes your work a lot more efficient. It makes that thinking where you are stuck, there is a mental block. You have an AI tool to ask questions and you get feedback given to you. ChatGPT can even help you build process maps. You'll be shocked. But yes, and that's why we've added ChatGPT to the program, so that the new technologies coming up with regards to AI, the new trends, you also move in line with the trend, so you're not left behind at the end of the day. How long does it take you to become a business analyst? 3 months. And I'll speak about this as we move on. All right, 3 months, 2 months of learning in class, project-based classes, project-based. And when I say project-based, you are looking at a case study, just similar to the one we looked at Caravan, but that's, very simple. Looking at something more detailed, something more robust, you look at different case studies and solve that case study. And that's how you'd learn. You do that for 2 months. You'd have a 1-month internship. The 1-month internship is to simulate a real-life work environment where you get to work on projects to add to your portfolio. So when you're asked questions around what you've done as a business analyst, you can speak from the point of knowledge because you've done it before and it's not entirely new to you. So these are the skills you need, from Excel to Power BI to SQL to Slack, understanding how to use Slack for communication, Jira for project tracking, Trello for project tracking as well and deliverables, Draw.io for your project map for your diagramming, wireframing, process flows, flow charts, and so on and so forth. ChatGPT for business analysis, and so on and so forth. In the UK, the average salary of the business analyst is about £52,000 on the average. All right, so you'd see different platforms give you different figures depending. All right, some would tell you it's about 40-something thousand. Some you'd also see over 60-something thousand. But on the average, is about £52,000. In Canada, is about 74,000 Canadian dollars. And in the US, a business analyst earns about 85,000 US dollars. All right, like I said, all the shapes, Somebody asked the other time that what do they mean? Okay, so you have them here, all right? And I'm going to send that in my slide so that you have all of this available to you. And this is what we just built today. All right, now let's move into the business analyst program. What do you stand to gain? When you join our business analysis program, what do you learn? All those skills I've listed to you. We're going to learn all those skills within the space of 3 months. It's 100% virtual, all right? You have hands-on practical sessions. Like I said, you work on projects. It's a project-based learning environment, not just videos and so on. I can see we have a lot of questions in the chat, but again, I'll take all these questions. I want to complete the slides so that we can have that one-on-one, one-to-one interaction. But the last question I can see here is business analytics and data analytics relate in a way. So that's one of the major confusions that people have. All right. Business analysis and business analytics are totally different. They're not the same in any way. All right. When you see business analytics and data analytics, they are more closely related than business analysis. Business analysis is totally different from business analytics. All right. Okay. You have lifetime access to all of the materials. Okay, so all the material, and I'll show you what the platform looks like. So all the case studies, all the presentations, everything you're going to get involved in, you have lifetime access to it. We looked at the average salary. You're going to add so many projects. You get industry relevant certification, 100% job prospect visibility. Now, this is even one of the most important aspects of the program, and I'll talk about that. And that's simply because I've worked with so many people, and across the UK, for example, you have people who have the skills. Clearly, the skills are there, but they cannot get a job. They struggle to get even an interview, to get their foot into the door. And most of the mistakes you'd see them make comes from their CVs. Poorly designed CV, applying to 10 jobs, 20 jobs using one CV, okay? And this is where what you need to do to get that 100% job prospect visibility, what exactly do you need to do? I'll talk about that in a few slides to go. Okay, so here you have, for some of the roles in the UK, for example, and even in Canada, where you can earn the highest amount without you needing to have a degree, is business analysis. Okay, so business analysis is one of those job roles in the UK that would pay you the highest, about £48,000 per annum on the average, without you needing a degree. And of course, we've talked about the different averages across the different locations, and some of the top places in the UK as well. You'd see the NCS offering as high as £65,000 per annum. And like I said, it varies also with the industry and with your own level of experience and so on and so forth. And in Canada, depending on your city where you currently reside, you also would command a higher pay eventually. So if you live in Ottawa, for example, we are looking at 6 figures, over 100,000 Canadian dollars per annum. If you stay somewhere in Alberta, Calgary, you're looking at another 6 figures, 104. Okay, and the beauty is you can work remotely. So you could be living in Winnipeg, for example, and working for a company in Ottawa. All right, you work remotely. And I'll share examples of people that are currently doing that. Okay, they're currently doing that, working remotely, and they're getting the best out of their current job role after joining our program and working with them to help them make that transition. So we've talked about how you can become a business analyst. You need Excel, you need Power BI, you need SQL. That gives you the analytics edge over those that don't have. All right, I'm currently working with somebody personally because he's in a very tight situation. He needs to get a job. He's in the UK, somewhere in Coventry. He's worked as a business analyst before for over 5 years, but he doesn't have Excel, Power BI, or SQL. but he's been out of job since February and needs to get a job urgently. All right. And that's a major factor to the reason why he hasn't been able to get interviews. We're currently working with him to ensure that he's able to land a job as soon as possible. He has an interview at least on Tuesday. And we're going to work with him on Monday, prepare him for his interview to ensure that he goes in there understanding the type of questions he's likely going to get. So that analytics edge is absolutely important for any business analyst. You also need project initiation. I've talked about this already. You need to understand the software development lifecycle because you're going to work as you're going to project manage so many automations, so many software development projects, application building. You work with those developers. You'd work from the planning stage to when they are testing, maintenance, and so on and so forth. You'd also need to understand your requirement fundamentals, requirement engineering. You need to know how to leverage the different project management methodologies in managing your projects. You also need to know how to engage stakeholders, manage your stakeholders, analyze the different stakeholders, and also how do you use tools, new tools, generative AI tools like ChatGPT, other large language model tools, not just ChatGPT, but so many other tools available within the space as well. And of course, you're able to cover all of this, you become a master business analyst. And you also have the curriculum, which I have on the slide for you. So once you get the slides, take out your time, go through the details, the nitty-gritty to see all the different areas that you'll be learning, from your Excel to your Power BI to your SQL to project initiation and so on and so forth. Okay, what's the total duration? I've hinted about that already. It's about 3 months. Okay, 2 months project-based classes. And then you have a capstone project. So once you are done with your live classes, you have a capstone project. The capstone project sort of brings everything together for you to assess the level of skills you've gotten, right? And then you have your 1 month internship. The 1 month internship, like I said, is something you don't want to ever miss. And that's where you get to build, you work together in teams, different teams, and then you build solutions to problems that exist with real life companies. Okay. Now, for those in the UK, in Africa, similar time zone, we have a class for you. For those in Canada, in the US, in North America, different time zone, we have a class for you as well. So if you're in the UK, if you're in Africa, somewhere in South Africa, somewhere in Nigeria, Ghana, in the UK, which we have similar time zone, class starts 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Saturdays, and on Sundays, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. All right. So 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Saturdays, Sundays, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And of course, if you're in Canada, you are in the US as well, you have your own class starts towards your own time zone, the Eastern time zone. We specifically use the Toronto, Canada time zone, all right, which is 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Sundays. So irrespective of where you are in the globe, you have the opportunity to be a part of an amazing learning experience that will help you transition from knowing nothing in business analysis to eventually becoming a business analyst. All right. And then you get to work on so many exciting projects, too many. I'm going to show you some of the projects we have on the platform for those who are currently in the program that started their cohorts in October. I'll show you what they are doing at the moment. All right. Somebody's asking, is BA certification essential to getting the job? The answer is a big no. And how do you check if it's essential or not? If it's important or not? Simply go to different job requirements, job descriptions. Okay. If we have time, I'll go to a couple. I'm going to make a note of it. All right. We'll check on different job vacancies and see, is a certification required? The answer is a big no. Now, the beauty of what we offer at Analytics, I'll explain it to you since you brought that up already. We use the IIBA curriculum. That's the body of knowledge for those in North America, the IIBA. And then we use the BCS, which is the body in the UK, we take the two curriculum from the different bodies and we use that to design our own curriculum. The difference is to pass an exam, to pass the certification, you need to read. Theoretical understanding, you sit for an exam and then you pass. However, the difference between you and somebody who has gone through an analytics program is they understand all the theoretical concepts, the theoretical jargons you're going to talk about. They have very good understanding of it, but they also have the practical application of all the things you are saying. They know how to create a process map. They know how to build a dashboard in Excel. They know how to build a dashboard in Power BI. And we have two amazing people who are currently in our August program, and they're going to come to speak a little bit about what they've done, and perhaps they'll showcase some of the things they've been able to build so far. All right. So you're going to work on amazing, exciting projects, and this is what builds your level of experience. So when you're asked questions during interviews, you're not talking about things that you've read, but you're talking about things that you've done and you've implemented. Castro Workplace Facility, Nestle Product Analytics, you'd work for an online food delivery, you'd look at fraudulent transactions in the bank, helping to come up with solutions, attrition case studies, and so many fantastic case studies you're going to work on. But the other thing you need to understand, apart from your technical skills you're going to learn from us, and the major reason people don't get jobs out there is because of this other part I'm going to share with you. Always put this at the back of your mind. Technical is 50%. So if you score 50 over 100, is there any company that would need somebody with 50 over 100? Is impossible. So your technical is only 50%. So all the things I've listed, from your analytic skills, Excel, Power BI, SQL, to your process mapping, all the way down to your stakeholder analysis and so on and so forth, it constitutes just 50% of what you need to get a job. The other 50% is your CV. And this is where so many people fall short. CV, understanding the market. I'll walk through all the areas. I'm always very passionate when I talk about this. And I simply ask the question, if you apply to 50 jobs with the same CV, you would never get the job. It's a no-brainer. And the simple reason is because every company implements something we call ATS. Even Tenalytics as a company, when we recruit people, we implement this. What does it mean? Applicant tracking system. All right. Every job would have keywords. The companies are looking for specific people they want to recruit. We want you to have this skill. We want you to have done this. We want you to have done that, and so on and so forth. If you don't have those keywords on your CV, what happens? It gives a very low match. So maybe you get a match of 65% or less, maybe 55% or less than that. You would never, and that's why you see the moment you apply, you hit the key submit, the next day or even before then, you get an email that says rejection email. We are sorry, we're not going forward with your application, simply because it's done a match already and you don't fit into the type of candidates that they want. So how do you tailor your CV to pass, to beat the ATS system? How do you ensure that you are able to look at the different keywords, the different aspects of the job requirements, and tailor your CV to meet those requirements? So at least you get yourself into the door. Have an interview. And for me, once you have an interview, you have an 80% chance of getting the job. And if you prepare the way we will encourage you and work with you to prepare, you have a 95% chance of getting the job. All right. So how do you ensure that you even get your foot into the door, first of all? And that's where the CV review comes in. So we help you review your CV. We show you how to tailor your CV to job descriptions and requirements so that you can do it yourself. And when you're applying to different jobs, it's a painstaking, activity, but that's the only way you're going to get results. We help you review and optimize your LinkedIn profile. Recruiters would always want to go to your LinkedIn. They want to see what you've done. You're saying you're a business analyst on paper, you're a business analyst on your CV, Is that who you are? And one of the first things we do, the moment you join our program, you join a challenge. And that challenge is called 60 days business analysis challenge. And that's where every single thing you learn, you put that on your LinkedIn. You talk about it. Oh, I've done this today. I've done that. All right. So anybody who goes to your profile, it matches what your CV says. All right. And then we have the Upwork optimization. And this is where you get to work on projects for 3 months, for 2 months, for 6 months as a freelancer. You work across for companies across the globe from the comfort of your own location at that point in time. You could be in Nigeria working for companies in the US. You could be in Cameroon working for companies across Europe. All right. And that's some of the best things you get with Upwork optimization. If you don't have an Upwork profile, we'll create one for you. If you have one, we'll help you optimize. You get verified so that you start getting the best jobs available out there. We'll show you how to navigate the job market. What does this mean? Very simple. A lot of people they've gone for their masters in Canada, masters in the UK, and then they are stranded. Not because of any particular reason, but just simply because they don't have the right information. Okay, so you find out that, oh, I'm stuck in doing the menial jobs I need to do to pay my bills and, get going day to day. And you forget that when you are done with your masters, and I use masters as an example because I've seen so many of them and we've helped so many of them as well. So it's always an issue. It's September. A lot of people doing their masters will be wrapping up by now. And then you realize, it hits you that I don't have the skills to compete for the best jobs out there. My master's has not equipped me with the skill to solve real world problems. I've only written research papers. I've written I've done assignments and projects that are more academic based. They're designed to fit into the academia and not to solve problems in the real world. So you find yourself in that, situation where you don't have the skills to compete for the best jobs and you are out of the university and then you keep on struggling because you don't have the skills. All right. Understanding the different tracks, the different pathways available for you. Knowing that for me to apply to get a post-study work visa, for me to apply to a tier 2 visa, a skilled worker visa, these are the things I need to do. All right. Business analysis across the globe, especially in the UK, is on the shortage occupation list. And what does that simply mean? For a job on the shortage occupation list, it means it's in high demand. There is a shortage of talents in that area. So people who have the skills will tend to get jobs, to snatch up the jobs available in the market easily. But the first part is getting the skills. Now, recommendation and references. And this is where we work with you. We write references and recommendations to the companies that will reach out to us, right? So we have companies reach out to us. Hello, I'm sending because somebody has indicated you as a referee and I would love to have a chat about the person with you. Are you free on Monday? Or they send a form. Can you fill this form? Tell us about what this person did while they worked with your company as a business analyst. Because the moment you register on any of our program or register for any of our program, you change your job title on LinkedIn, okay, to a business analysis consultant or a data analytics consultant, depending on the program you joined. All right. So we write a reference for you to say that you were not learning with us. What you were doing was working on projects and solving problems for clients. And why is that so? All the projects you're going to work on, you're going to solve while learning and even during your internship are the same skills you've applied, you deploy to solving those problems, are the same skills that you deploy to solving the problems in the real world. No difference at all. Okay, so you speak during interviews talking about the problems you've solved as a business analyst, your experience. Okay, job and interview preparation. This is another area that a lot of people struggle simply because people don't, I would say they don't prepare, which is one of the things I've seen, and because they don't know how to prepare. Okay, and simply questions as simple as, tell me about yourself or introduce yourself to me, or can we get to meet you? You'd hear all sorts of things. Okay, or tell me about a time you've been involved in a process optimization project. How did you communicate with the stakeholders, and how did you manage all the stakeholders? People would talk about things that matter and things that don't matter. They bring everything together, and it's difficult for interviewers to follow your story. All right. So what we do during the interview session is simple. We teach you the different ways to plan and structure your stories using different frameworks, the STAR approach, the SEAT approach to introducing yourself, and so on and so forth. So you know where to start. How do you introduce yourself? You start with your skills. S for skills. After your skills, E for experience. You talk about your experience. After your experience, A for achievements. You talk about your achievements. And then you talk about your type of person. Who are you? What are your traits? What are you likely going to do? Are you a problem solver? Are you team-oriented? And so on and so forth. It's a framework everybody needs to know. So they wake you up from your sleep, introduce yourself, skills, experience, achievement, type of person. And because you've prepared, you've rehearsed it so well that it becomes a part of you. When you are asked to introduce yourself during an interview, it's seamless. It's a whole more seamless. And it's only out of all the times I've, prepared people for interviews, only one person could introduce himself in a structured manner. Every other person, they went, left and right, up and down, and they were all over the place. But that's why we are here, to work with you and help you understand the different, techniques and different frameworks you can deploy to solving this, questions you're likely going to get during interviews. Last but not the least is the weekly mentorship sessions, right? And this is where every Wednesday evenings, myself, the co-founder of Analyst, we bring in other industry experts, and they work with you to help you make that transition. You need a mentor to accelerate your transitions journey. All right, you need that person to ask questions. You need that person to tell you that, look, you've applied to jobs, you've gotten rejections. The best of us get rejections, and so on and so forth. You need that person to work with you. Okay. And that's what the mentorship session does for you. You would also see people that have gone through the same route. All right. They've joined the program like you. They've completed the program, and they are working with some of the biggest companies. They'll come back to the sessions to teach you and show you what they did, how they answered questions, what type of questions they were asked, and so on and so forth. And this is the other 50%. If you don't have this, you would struggle to get a job, because all you have is just a technical skill, which constitutes only 50%. Okay. And again, a lot of people struggle to also understand how to apply to jobs. How do I apply to jobs? What do I search for? If I need to work as a business analyst, do I just go online and search for business analyst role? Is that the only way I can get jobs? No. There are so many diverse, profiles, diverse job roles within the business analysis realm. Okay, business analyst, IT business analyst, process analyst, enterprise analyst, requirements engineer, system analyst, business systems analyst, business architect, functional analyst, change analyst. You'd see so many different diverse profiles within the business analysis realm. So how do you know the type of role to apply to? Some people would see process analyst. I don't know process analyst, though. This one is not for me. What I did was business, analysis, but would show you how to apply to jobs, how to search for those jobs that are available out there. All right. And which is a very, very important part of the job application process. Now, your 1 month internship, like I said, this is where you get to deploy your skills. You're going to work on 6 real-life projects, working in collaboration with other team members, with the data engineers, with the data analysts, and you'll be solving problems together. There was a particular problem that our interns recently solved for a company here in the UK currently experiencing a problem of maximizing their revenue. And what did they do? They reached out to us. We got that problem. We told them that, look, we're going to do it for free, and our interns would work on it. They worked on it. They collaborated from the HR analyst to the data analyst to the business analyst. They looked at the problem and they've come up with a solution. And we are making the final submission on Monday. And these are the type of projects you're going to solve and work to add to your profile, to add to your CV, to talk about when you get into that interview, that you've actually deployed your skill to solving problems. The next cohort starts on the 2nd of September. And so that we can take questions very quickly, because I can see so many questions coming up. Difference between data analytics, business analytics. I'll take all of that, don't worry. People are asking, how much does it cost? How much does it cost for us to be a part of the program? First of all, to let you know that the program starts on the 2nd of September, which is the coming Saturday. Next week, Saturday is when the program starts. And to be a part of the program,
connected to a deeper ceiling.
All you need to do is to make an investment of 600 Canadian dollars or 400 pounds or 320,000 naira. All right. But we've had so many sessions all through the month of August. Okay. And people have always, as usual, they've always pleaded, please, I'm going to get paid at the end of the month and so on and so forth. Can you extend the discounts? So we're extending the discounts available only for the first 20 people. All right. Because this today and tomorrow, we're going to have the last masterclass. A free masterclass like this would be the last before the main program eventually starts. So instead of paying 600 Canadian dollars if you're in Canada, or paying 400 pounds if you're in the UK, or paying 320,000 naira, if you're in the US, you can also make payments either in Canadian dollars or in pounds using our link, and it does the conversion for you automatically. Rather than paying 400 pounds, you have a discounted fee of 300 pounds. And you can make the payment in 2 installments, 200 to get into the class, and then 100 pounds 1 month after the program starts. If you are paying in naira, instead of paying 320,000 naira, you get to pay 270, 180,000 as the first payment if you want to split your payment into 2. And of course, a lot of people make the payment one time, full 270, and they don't have to bother with making balance payments afterwards. 180 to get into the class, 90,000 1 month after the program must have commenced. If you are paying in dollars, of course, $400 is the discounted fee instead of 500, 300 to get into the class, 100 1 month after the program commences. Canadian dollars, instead of 600, you get to pay 500 Canadian dollars, 350 to get into the class, and 150 1 month after the program must have commenced. Remember, this is only available to the first 20 participants to register from this session. All right. And the registration closes on Monday. We've had registration opened right from the beginning of the month up until this moment. The session starts, the main class starts on the 2nd of September. So we are closing registration on Monday, because by Wednesday, Thursday, we'll be having onboarding sessions. We'll be sending all the different materials you need to get prepared for the class starting the following weekend. So the first 20 people to pay would take advantage of the discounts. All right. My colleagues on the call would send the link to you for you to make payments, and I'll show you how easy it is for you to make payments. You can also make payment doing a transfer if you want to do a direct transfer to either our UK accounts or our Nigeria bank accounts. All you have to do is send the money, do a transfer to our Fidelity bank accounts or to our UK bank accounts, and then you upload your proof of payment. And I'll show you how to do that in the next few seconds. All right. And if you want to reach out to us, you have questions, you need clarifications, you can reach out to us on any of these numbers. Just send us a message on any of these numbers, and one of our customer success associates would respond to you. Okay, so I'm quickly going to show you how you need to make, if you want to make payments using the link, how you can make payments, and then we'll come back to take questions from you and have a little bit of interaction. So all you need to do is to click on this link. You see the link on my screen. Once you click on the link that says pay with PayPal or Paystack, it takes you into another page. And I'm just going to show you that very quickly. It takes you here. Okay. And all you have to do, if you want to make payments through Paystack using your card, your Naira credit card or your Naira debit card, all you have to do, you come to the Naira card payments, and then you click on full and first payments, and then it takes you into the Paystack platform. Okay, and all you have to do is select the program you want to register for. So business analysis, for example, I click on business analysis. Okay, and it shows me the business analysis program. And all I have to do is select if I want to make the full payment or part payment. So I choose full payment. I'll see the discounted fee of 270,000 Naira. So for those in Canada, because I beg your pardon, for those in Ghana, because I always get that question all the time, oh, I'm in Ghana, how do I pay? We have so many Ghanaians that join our program. You pay using Paystack. That's the easiest way for you to make payments to be a part of our program. You pay using Paystack. All right. So once you've selected full payment or part payment is 180,000 Naira. You just click on add to bag, go to checkout, enter your card details, and then you make your payments. Okay. Enter your name, your last name, your email, and then you enter your phone number, and then you go to review and pay. Very straightforward. Okay. Now, once you've made payments, this is for Naira, for those making payments using their Naira debit or credit card. If you want to pay using PayPal, you can also do that. You'd see the PayPal option. And I always advise, if you are in Europe, in Poland, in Sweden, somewhere around Belgium, make payments using the PayPal option. All right. You can either make the full payment or make the part payments. Let's assume you want to make the full payments. Click on full payment. It takes you into the PayPal option. You'd see the Analytics Tech Career Program. Click on Buy Now. All right. You'd see the PayPal option. Click on PayPal. And then it takes you into the PayPal page where you can make pay. If you have a PayPal account, fantastic. You enter your email or your phone number, and then you make payments. If you don't have a PayPal account, but you want to make payments using your card, your Euro card, your pound, dollar card, just go to pay with debit or credit card. All right. And then enter your email. I'm just going to enter my email. Okay. Sorry. It's going to ask for my PIN and everything. All right. Enter your email and go to continue to payments. Okay. So, and of course, it's to do all the verifications and everything, and then you get to make the payments for the program. All right. So it's as straightforward as that. It is as straightforward as that. Once you've made your payments, still on that same platform, you can upload your proof of payments. All right. So you'd see where it says upload your initial or full receipt here. You click on that, and then you can upload, enter your details for the September program. You'd see where to upload your proof of payment, and we receive that. We confirm your payments, and you receive a welcome kit. The welcome kit contains all the things you need for the program: how to download and install Excel, how to download and install Power BI, and all the other tools, including your lesson plan, when your class would start, the timetable, and everything that you need ahead of the class starting on the 2nd of September. Now, some questions we also get, because I want to cover as many questions as possible before I open the floor up for Q&A. Some questions we also get is, how do I, if I want to defer, for example, I want to take advantage of the discount available, but I don't want to start in September. I want to start in November, because we have in October or November, because we have new cohorts every month. The cohorts in August started on the 5th of August. September starts on the 2nd of September, and I think October starts the first Saturday of October. We have the October cohort. So you want to start in October and not September. While you are filling this form, you would see the option that says, when do you want to start? You can defer your program for up to 2 months into the future. So you make your payment now. You can either start in October or November. But the fantastic thing about starting in September is you get to complete your program, including your internship, before the end of the year. So 2023 would still be an amazing year where you've been able to achieve a major feat, learning business analysis, getting a certification, and also learning all the things you need to get a job across different regions across the globe. All right. I know we have a couple of people who are going to talk to us about the program, that they joined the program in August and they want to share their own experience with you and what they've been able to do. So once we listen to them, I'll come up, open the floor up for people to ask questions, and then we'll wrap up afterwards. I was hoping we'd do this for 2 hours. So we'll have Q&A before we wrap up our session for today. So Ubong, please let me know if we have Favor or Adeyinka on the call so that we have them, and then we'll move on to wrapping up our session.
Yeah, we have Favor on the call.
Okay, so we have Favor. So I'm going to call upon Favor. See, Favor Wana. I'm not sure I can find Favor, Victor. Adeyinka. Okay, we have
Okay, let's have
Adeyinka.
Adeyinka. Yes, let's have Adeyinka.
Adeyinka, I've asked you to unmute yourself, so you can go ahead and unmute yourself. You can also put on your video, and let's get to see you and hear from you. So Adeyinka is one of the people that started their journey this August, on the 5th of August, if I'm correct. And Adeyinka will be sharing her experience. Oh, Adeyinka is a lady. Adeyinka, I apologize. Okay. Adeyinka will be sharing her story with us. So Adeyinka, before you start, where are you joining us from, please?
Okay, good evening. This is Adeyinka. I'm joining from the UK.
All right, absolutely fantastic, Adeyinka. So go ahead, let's get to hear your experience, what you've been able to do. Do you have anything you want to show to us today, any dashboard or anything like that?
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
so go ahead. Let's hear your experience, Adeyinka.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. And once again, my name is Adeyinka. In the UK, as I earlier mentioned, I actually came in for my MSc in business analytics, having worked in Nigeria for over 7 years as a project manager. I intend to, advance my studies, and then I came in for business analytics. And I will dive into some of the things Adeze said earlier, that when we come here to school, what we get is just academics and then teaching you how to be a consultant. But the actual skill set that you need to work in the field is not given. So when I knew that, this is what I'm facing, the next thing for me is, and I know I would like to stay back and work a few years, even if I need to return. I know I need to get those transferable skills that I need on the field. So I began research. Okay, where do I go? I had a couple of training centers, actually. So I had to start asking questions from those that have been here before. Which one do you think is best to do? I don't just want to do anyone. And I remember I even had to refer one of those groups to a friend to go for project management. But at the end, it wasn't giving me a good feedback. So I knew, so that is not a go-to for me. Well, probably because his interest was not too aligned towards that part. He just needed something. So which is one of the things I'll be talking about. Whatever you want to do. Number one, what is your passion? What do you want to? What are you looking for? That is the driving force that would push you to outgo your limits. It's not a bed of roses. It has its ups and down times. I was telling a friend, or maybe I was talking to someone, that since I started analytics, I've been sleeping around 2, 3 a.m. Or even if I slept earlier, I know around that time I must be awake because I have assignments to do. You sleep, you think data. You wake up, you think, hey, my dashboard. Oh, I need to do this. I remember even last week, I think my tutor is on this called Victor of Scotland. I chatted him in the middle of the night. Last week, we started SQL. And the first day it went on well. I had issues with the SQL dashboard and I was able to resolve it on my own. So I was like, oh, fine, I can do this. And I went on. So I think on Tuesday, I was going through, I wanted to do some of the assignments because unfortunately or fortunately, I'm the group leader. So I need to be on my toes because I know my group members will come knocking to know what they need to do. All of a sudden, boom, my SQL crashed. I don't know what to do. In the middle of the night, I had to text Victor. This has gone down. What do you want? What do I need to do? I tried all I could. At a point, I had to put it on my WhatsApp status because I know some of my friends that are programmers and all. But I could not rest until I got it done. So I was like, wow, so is this going to be my life? But I was happy doing it. And then that's where the consistency comes in. Okay, I want to do this. And there is bottleneck. Will I just leave it, drop it, and go away? Well, some persons might do that, but maybe not me, because I know this is what I want to do. So coming on board, your life will change and change for the better. Well, because you came in yourself and you know what you are looking at what is it, the future, the benefit you would get, but you know you need to pay the price. So your persistence, your willingness to learn and unlearn, your consistency goes a long way. And you yourself, okay, what happens to you when you face challenges? Do you just give in and go away? Yeah. That would not help. So you need to, I think you just need to be intentional. That is the word. Be intentional with what you want to do. And for me, it's been a smooth ride. Well, not smooth, because of course, it's things that it's something new, but again, it's been an interesting journey. And okay, to share my screen, I would just want to show one or two.
Right. So Adenka you'll show us some of the things you've been able to build.
Yeah.
I'll stop sharing my screen so you can go ahead and share. So like I said earlier, and like Adenka has said, she started with us on the 5th of August for the August cohorts. And so you let us know what you are sharing and just, explain to us what you've built.
Okay, yeah. So this was my, in the course of the training since 5th of August, the first week was Introduction to Excel. I've created dashboard before with Power BI because I had a course I needed to do. That was data visualization and I needed to use Tableau. But getting the Tableau interface, it was not interesting. So I opted for Power BI option. So I quickly learned something so I could be able to present, but that was not enough. So now getting to Analytics, yeah, I remember, I forgot to mention, when I was searching for, one of my classmates had started this, we were just talking. So she said, try Analytics, you will not regret it. I said, how are you sure? If I don't enjoy it, I will come back for you and I will collect my money. She said, try it. And indeed, I've actually been enjoying it. And I've told some of my friends, they were like, okay, go and try it. Let's know. Because your mouth is always sweet. Go and try it and then come back. Now they're asking me, so that thing you posted on your LinkedIn page, are you sure you did? I said, yes, it's from there. Okay, I'm coming. So this is it. This is my first dashboard with Excel. So we're asked to create customer behavior and marketing dashboard. We had a data set and that we should try to analyze the data set and then come up with a dashboard. Yeah, we had some practical things in class. And kudos to my tutor, Victor of Scotland. I used to disturb him in class anyway. So I know he's never tired of me. He's hearing that, so I'm still coming back to him. So I was able to, this was the first one. And I'm like, so, wow, so you could do this. Okay, so from the data set here, I had 2,240 customers. I was able to generate that. Then the average income. Then I also brought out the average store purchases, which was 6. From there, I got to know, okay, the platforms that was used to purchase on that shop, that's from that shop, they had 6 platforms. With what I can see, oh, these purchases are not really doing well. So from there, okay, I have an insight for them. Okay, look at what it is that they are buying more. They come to the store to buy. Okay, can we, so my advice now, my recommendation was, okay, can you try to make some deals even in the store? Now you come, it will be like combo deals that they can pick from, so that those from the web, those on the catalog can help increase this, because all of the time, we should not always look at, from my own part, we should not always look at what is going on well. What can they improve on so that they can function properly? And then, okay, what are the type of customers that they have? Sorry. I can see that the married comes in more. Oh, I need to move. Sorry, I'm trying to move. Okay. Yeah. While the widow don't really come in. Okay. What promotion can be? So here, my recommendation there was that, okay, what are the things that the widows, the divorced, and the singles really want? Can we target that? And then try to propose that to the customers. Then on the product category, all of this customer type with their status actually take a lot of wine. So that suggests to me, looking from example, oh, okay, this customer set is from the European side, because they always take that. Oh, okay. So what can we go? From there, I had to propose, oh, we need to do something for like health campaign, because to some extent, taking wine all of the time is not too good for their health. So we suggested, okay, this fruit that is good to be taken, can we do a promotion on it so that when they buy this, they buy fruit? And also to help in their, there's something we call I forgot the term now. Part of what I learned in school that I brought into it. Okay, so market basket analysis. Yes. Can we move these fruits and sweet and these fish things to come first while this one goes to the end? Because we know that they will always go for the wine. So instead of making this to be towards the door, that they pick and go, move all of these items. So because when they are going, oh, it seems I need fish. Oh, it seems I need fruit before they go for the wine. That increases their buying power for all of this. And then we ran campaign too. Out of it, oh, okay, the last campaign was better. There was improvement in all of the campaign, actually. So this was, all of this came by from the training, the analysis, and the explanation from my tutors. So I think I also did, okay, this sunshine resort too.
So what I think you can do, Adenka, is just quickly scroll down all the dashboards you've built so we see them.
I just wanted to mention one of that and then explain the insight to it. So while I run through. So I think I was able to also create this with my Excel. Then Power BI, yeah, this was the first dashboard for Power BI. Customer review for British Airlines. So I can see the monthly rate and all of those. Then we went on to this. Then for the group work, okay, so I mentioned earlier that I'm the group leader, right? So we had opportunity of presenting, and we were given another superstar to analyze as a business analyst. Then I remember vividly that the question says, think outside the box. Don't just do what is there. So I told my group, okay, I know every other group will want to just do this basic thing and then use different diagram. Why not let's look deep? And into the document, we saw that, oh, there is something about profit and loss that we could bring out. How are they making profit and how are they making losses? So we noticed that, oh, especially, okay, for the areas that they gave discount to, it did not necessarily translate into profit. That insight was gotten from the data set. Then, oh, okay, this region had more profit, had discounts and no. Then the second thing we brought out again was the sales team's dashboard. Now, okay, to help the sales team to sell better, I think that we need to pick something around the incentive thing, and then we were able to come up with this. All of this was, well, I didn't know I could do this. We didn't know we could do this. But because of the push, because of the knowledge we got, we were able to. And for me, I would always say, I have my personal principles. I've mentioned them earlier. Be intentional on what you want to do. Know your passion, go for it. Never be afraid to start. Learning is continuous process. Now, never be afraid to start. It doesn't matter when or how, but start, and it can be chaotic. Not starting can be chaotic. So imagine I did not start. Imagine I did not, when I had that SQL issue, I backed off. I don't think I would be tempted to fail. Then I have another thing. I think I started a program sometimes ago that I had to stop midway, though for many reasons. But I've made up my mind. I'm going to continue this. I'm going to finish it. And that has been my driving force. So that has been pushing me. Then start small. Don't judge yourself by other people's pace. Others can get it faster. When you get to class, you see some people always talking. Don't feel, they know it already. No. You are different, and the way we grasp is different. Just start small and go by your pace. That is just what I would like to share. Thank you. I'm sorry for taking your...
It's not at all. We deeply appreciate you coming, Adeyinka, to share your experience with us. I think it's been absolutely phenomenal. Even talking about your personal experience, your personal principles, and so on and so forth. And that's the beauty of working together in groups sometimes. So I can imagine having somebody like Adeyinka as my group leader. I know I have no problem, because Adeyinka will carry everybody along. So that's absolutely fantastic. Well done, Adeyinka. And thank you for taking out time to share your experience with us today and what you've been able to gain from the program as well. I know I joined your presentation session. I think the very first one on Excel, and it was it was phenomenal. Well done. Thank you very much, Adeyinka, for coming.
Thank you. And I hope I've improved, at least with this. I'm learning. And
fantastic.
Yeah, it's been
your work
awesome.
is fantastic. Well done. Well done, Adeyinka.
Thank you.
Right. So that's Adeyinka's experience, sharing with us what she's been able to do. Like I said, Adeyinka joined on the 5th of August with us. She's built numerous dashboards. Now, the reason, if you remember when I was presenting, the reason why you do this, it's a project-based environment. You're not learning by watching. You are learning by doing. So if Adeyinka has an interview, and part of the interview is to come up with presentations, come up with dashboard solutions, and so on and so forth, she has no problem at all. All right, because she knows what she's done. She's done it before so many times, and all she needs to do is get her laptop, get it done, ensure she's ready, work with our team members to prepare her for our interviews, and then she's good to go. Before I take questions, I want you to listen to Ramat. Ramat, also in the UK, joined our program, and I want you to listen to her because Ramat's story is also phenomenal. Everybody should hear what Ramat has to say. Just a 1-minute video. Okay, so I'm going to click on the link, and this is available to everybody as well. Okay, so take out time, ensure that when you receive the slides at the end of today's session, take out time to go through the slides. So I'm going to share so that you can hear the audio. Just give me 1 second to do that, and then listen and hear what Ramat has to say.
Hi, good day. My name is Ramat, and if you're stumbling on this, trust me, you've landed in the right place, because I'm going to be briefly sharing my experience with you about my journey with Analytics and how I was able to get a job within 3 months of joining the cohort. I joined them and enrolled for the course. Analytics as well-seasoned facilitators who are experts in the field. Imagine not having any experience beforehand as a business analyst and finishing with Analytics as a pro. Personally, I also got interview preparation sessions that helped me prepare well for my interviews, and this enabled me ace my interview. So if you're looking to transition or you're having any doubt, trust me, you shouldn't, because Analytics is really amazing and you should consider enrolling.
So that's Ramat. And like I said, you all get the slides and have all the time to look at the different success stories that we have, and they are numerous from Ramat's story to all the videos you have in here. And I'm just quickly going to, this is Rafiat. Rafiat also got a job as a business analyst with the post office in the UK after completing our program, the business analysis program. You have Amaka, who got a job as a business support analyst here in the UK after joining our program as well. Desola's story is also phenomenal. Let me speak a little bit about Desola. Desola joined the program. She had an interview the following day. She had worked with senior data associates. They had helped her prepare for her interview. She had a presentation and she sent the presentation to me for me to have a look at the presentation. And this is her sending me a message saying, Adaiza, I've done the presentation. I want you to have a look at it. And I looked at it and I said, everything looks good. Ensure you stick to the time for the presentation. The next message I got from Desola was that she got the job with the NHS here as a business analyst. And let me speak a little bit about her experience, because she asked for feedback on how her performance was, because the role was opened to both internal and external candidates. Desola, in terms of the business analysis questions, the technical questions that were asked, she was the best candidate. With the NHS related questions, she wasn't the best, simply because you also had internal members apply to that role. But the technical business analyst questions, Desola was the best. And today, Desola works as a business analyst with the NHS in the UK. I got her reference. They reached out to us to provide a reference. I wrote the reference for her, and she's currently started her job as a business analyst in the UK with the NHS. This is Benga. Benga joined our program all the way from Poland. Benga had always wanted to get a job in Poland, but struggled. But today he works as a business data analyst in Poland, hybrid role, absolutely phenomenal. And for anybody who has come across Benga, you'd understand how ecstatic he's come up, several times, just like the way Adenka came around today. He's come to share his story on how he got the job and everything. Super amazing guy. And this is him reaching out to me saying, boss, I got this job. And I worked with him during his interview. We also had our senior data associate work with him as well to prepare him, because he had 4 different interviews. And he got, apart from the one he went for, that he took the offer because it offered him better remuneration, better job benefits. He got 3 more offers that he had to turn down because he went for the best offer eventually. Benga is doing absolutely well, currently in Poland. Fantastic gentleman. So go through all the different, testimonials, and I'm sure you'd get to relate. You'd relate with so many of the people that have started their journey with us, just like Adenka, who came to speak, who is currently doing absolutely well, phenomenally well. You also have Ramat, who got a job after completing our program with us, and so many other people that have done fantastic within the space. One of the things I would say as I start to take questions from you is, a lot of people, they've joined our master classes from January till date, but they struggle to start. And that's one of the things that Denka said. Starting is actually critical for you to start and get your journey on the way. Okay, so I'm going to take questions from people. So if you have questions, you want to unmute yourself to speak, use the icon, the raised hand icon, and I would ask you to unmute yourself. And I would also look into the chats for questions as well, if I have questions in the chat, because I think we've been getting a lot of questions in the chat. Can we pay directly to the Fidelity account and send evidence? Absolutely. You can do that, Ugona. Okay, so when you send a message to the WhatsApp, they'll send you the link to upload. And once you do that, you are good to go. All right. So let's take some questions from Matt Solo. So Matt Solo, I've asked you to unmute yourself. Go ahead and ask a question, please.
Thank you very much. It's an exciting section, and it's really good. So I'm actually calling from Poland. But my question is, I asked the question in the chat but
Okay.
I didn't get a satisfactory answer. How about I have a job schedule that is not fixed, so it's on a timetable base, and then the schedule is not up to me actually, and it spans through the week, Saturday, Sunday inclusive, and I tend to not be able to meet up with all classes as per the class schedules. Is there any way to make up for it? Is there any pre-recorded, or is there any way for flexibility in terms of study? Secondly, I see that on the Saturdays and Sundays, respectively, there are about 3 different schedules. Is it the same 3 hours each? Is it the same thing for each time on that day? Or it's a different class with different topics at those different schedules? So if I can get that clarity, it would be nice.
All right, very good question, Matt Solo. And fantastic, you're calling from Poland as well. I see it seems like we have a following in Poland. So good to hear from you, Matt Solo. So your first question about the flexibility, I always recommend, and just like Adenka also alluded to, it's important you are available to attend classes. All right. So I'm not going to come here to tell you that, look, you can miss classes and you get the best. You would not get the best from the program. To get the best, to get to be it's an immersive program. You need to participate. You'd work together in groups. Adenka said she's the group leader. So imagine you being part of a group and not contributing. At the end of the day, you fall short. All right. But I'm sure, there are ways people walk around that if you're not going to be available, because that always comes up. Okay. But I want you to have the mindset that you are coming into the program with the focus of being a part of the program as much as you can. All right. Yes, emergencies would come up. You'd miss 1 or 2 classes. And that was why I came up to the platform. The platform itself, and I'll show you what it looks like. This is the current cohort for the EU, which is for those in the UK and similar time zone. All right. You fall into the business analysis EU. All right. I'll go to classwork, which is where you'd see all the details of your program from when you join. All right. So you see the welcome kits, your installations for those using Mac, how to install Power BI for Mac. You have your onboarding session, and then you have your Excel. So yes, Matt Solo, all the programs are recorded. So you have a live class. So let's assume I register. I'm in the UK. I register to be in the UK time zone. All right. My class on Saturday starts at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. I join the class. I get to interact with my other, contemporaries from different other locations. We form our groups. We work together on projects, solving different problems, and so on and so forth. At the end of the class, the recording is uploaded onto this platform. So you can see the very first Excel class. You saw what Adenka presented. This was the case study they worked on. I'm just going to open that for you. It's called the marketing campaign case study. All right. So you have the background to the case study, and then you have your data dictionary, and then you have your tailored analysis, what you're expected to solve. And then you come up with your solution, you build your dashboard, and so on and so forth. Now, everything that you do that happens in class is recorded. This is the class recording. Everybody that's a part of the program has access to this link to the class recording. So let's assume, Matt Solo, that you missed the class on Saturday. When you're available that same Saturday, you come onto the platform, you see the material, you open it up, you go to the class recording, you right click, open it, and then it takes you into the class recording. Everything that happened in class that day, you have it available. Now, because you are also a part of the group, the WhatsApp group, which is what we use for communication, you can ask questions if there's anything while watching the video that you did not understand. You get to ask your question in the chat. But the classes are recorded, and you have access to all the recordings, all the materials, all the case study used for that particular class. Now, let's assume that you are in your situation is a bit peculiar with the fact that you can't control your work schedule. It's not fixed, which means that sometimes you're available during the day, sometimes you're available in the evening. The same facilitator, the same trainer that takes the morning class also takes the other class. So if you're in the UK, the same trainer, the same topic would happen for the class in the UK, Nigeria, Africa. If you're in Canada, you're in the US, the same trainer, the same topic will be done again that day. So we can have an arrangement with you based on your current situation to ensure that if you miss the class in the morning, you can be added to the evening class. Okay, so you have that access and flexibility so you don't miss out. Because if people ask the question, oh, data analytics, business analysis, which one is easier? Because I don't want to have to struggle. I don't want to have to work. And there is no career path that will give you the kind of money that a business analysis role would give you, that you don't need to be a part of it. So you need to be a part of it. You need to play your own part in terms of working on projects, being a part of the group, contributing, doing presentations. That's a major part of the program. You're going to present, you work together in groups, you solve problems, you present. I'll be there to, critique your submission where you need to make adjustments, just like Adeyinka said. So this is what a typical live class would look like. Matt Solo. I'm just going to reduce the volume so it's not too loud. This is your facilitator. So it's going to work with you, show you different concepts in class. And then in case you miss the class, you can always come back here and you'd see every single thing that was done. So and then you can implement the same. All right. So that's it. I'm just going to fast forward a bit. All right. So this is the recording, which you'd have lifetime access to this. Now, we talked about the presentation, right? When you build something together in groups, you get to present. And this was a presentation that same Adeyinka's class, the same cohorts, they had to present. Okay, they had to present. And let's see some of the presentations that they gave. Let's see. And then I'll come to the next question from Ugochukwu.
Thank you. So,
right. So let's fast forward it a bit, because as a business analyst, you would have to deal with stakeholders. All right. You deal with stakeholders that you have to present to. You'd make presentation, you solve problems and showcase what you solved. All right. So let's listen. Let's listen to the presentation by this particular team and see what they were able to do. The same dashboard Adeyinka shared with us. So let's listen.
240 customers, and the average income of their customers is 52,247, which means they're actually high earners. And we also saw from the data that the average store purchase per customer is 6 items. So we should vary from different items. So the organization hosted a campaign and hosted a series of campaigns, and we discovered from the data that the campaign that was most successful was the last campaign that had
Okay, so that was Victoria giving our presentation, and then of course I gave my feedback, right? Telling them what I think. I love what you said about the wine tasting, food events tailored to married couple and a couple that stay together. That's absolutely brilliant. But one thing I want to add, and I think this is general to everybody that has presented so far, is whenever you are presented with a problem, okay, you might want to also do a little bit of extra research. And I'll give you an example. All right, so let's just stop it there. So these are the different sessions. So at the end of the day, you actually don't miss anything if you miss a class, but that's not a recipe for you to go ahead and start missing classes. But you are covered with regards. So this is the first Excel class. They have presentation, second Excel class. This is the material. You have a different case study, the Sunshine Results case study, where you're helping your results solve problems with regards to the type of customers they get, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it's a project-based environment where you get to solve problems. You have the Power BI. So this is a case study presentation where you get to make your presentations. You have your mentorship sessions every week, and then your CV review session. You have the Power BI Class 1, Power BI Class 2, and if you scroll all the way to the top, you have where you get to, schedule your interview prep. So you have an interview coming up. How do you schedule a session with any of the professionals to help you prepare? Simple. You go to any of the links, click on the link, and then it will take you to where to schedule your session. Click on that. You look for the next available date, which is on Tuesday, the 29th. Click on it, 6 p.m. next. Enter your name, enter your email, enter the details of the job, description, and what you want to cover exactly. And the moment you click on schedule events, what happens? It sends you an automated invite into your email, and you get to meet with somebody to work with you to prepare you for your interview. So it's a robust system that ensures that at every different level, you have a support system and you're not left wanting without support. You heard when Adenka said she reached out to Victor at the middle of the night, and Victor responded to help her solve her SQL problem. SQL can be a challenge sometimes, but it's all part of the learning process in becoming a business analyst. So, Ugochukwu, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. Let's hear your question, Ugochukwu. Go ahead, please. Ugochukwu, if you can hear me, I've asked you to unmute yourself. Okay, I think Ugochukwu is unmuted, but I can't hear him. So Ugochukwu, if you can hear me, we can't hear you. All right, so check your audio and see if you can sort it out. If you can't, please send a message to the chat and I'll pick your question from there. FW, I've asked you to unmute yourself. Please go ahead with your question. FW.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, go ahead, please.
Yeah, it's just a question regarding the tools.
Sorry, your audio is your audio is very low. I can barely hear what you're saying.
Okay, is that any better?
A little bit.
Okay, it's just whether you get the license for Office 365 to use all the tools.
Oh, okay. Do we have the license for Office 365? Is that your question?
Or do you get it? Once you join the program to use during and after the training.
Okay, I'm not sure I got your question correctly. We internally as a business, we have Office 365 Enterprise. Okay. Now, as a participant, we also advise that you get Office 365. If your question is how to get Office 365, there are so many ways you can do that. All right. Now, if you go online and just do a search, which is part of the things you'd see in the video of how to prepare your welcome kits when you receive the welcome kits after making payments. Okay. You just simply do a search on Microsoft Office 365. You want to download and install. Usually all you have to do is once you subscribe to Office 365, you can then download all the other applications from your Outlook to your Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and you have that sorted out for you. All right. But what we also use to train internally as a company is Office 365 based. I don't know if that's the question you asked, FW, but I could barely hear you.
Okay,
what's your question?
Yeah, that was a question, but is it free?
So again, for you to have constant updates, it is not free. All right. But what you can do for those, we advise people to subscribe to make payment for the Office 365, which is usually very insignificant. Okay. So for those, if you're making payments in dollars, for example, it's roughly about $40 per annum. If you're making payments in Naira, it's roughly about 36,000 Naira per annum. Okay. So we advise people to do that because you have updates on the go. So whenever Microsoft, releases a new update, you also have it. But if you don't want to pay, which some people don't want to pay, understandably, once you subscribe, they don't take out your money immediately. They give you a trial period. All right. So before the end of that trial period, you'd unsubscribe. So you'd still have your applications, your Excel, your Word, and all the other applications functional. However, you would not get the subsequent updates that would come up in the future. Okay, so that's the way you can have your Office 365, all the applications without having to pay. Okay, I hope that answers the question, FW. All right, so I'll take, I think, 2 more questions so that we can wrap up the session for today. This is 2 hours, 30 minutes. I'll take question from Ugona. Ugona, go ahead, please, and I'll take maybe 1 or 2 from the chat, and then we call it a day.
Okay, thank you. Concerning the 365, this guy just mentioned now. Currently,
Yes.
I'm a student in the UK, University of Northampton, and the school gave us a 365, so I can still use that for the training, yeah?
Okay. Absolutely, yes, you can.
Yeah, because it's fully subscribed. Okay. Secondly, this your Sunday session, the morning is not morning. The morning started by 2. The morning is not morning at all because I think it should be the same way the Saturday one is. So it's well spelled out because I know it shifted because of maybe for people going to church and all that, but some people can still be available from that 11 a.m. So if it's morning, let it be morning. So because that time is virtually afternoon and it's entered evening, so it's still like evening session part 1 or something like that. So I don't know if any other person has complained about that, but I think if it's morning, so it can accommodate someone that is working in the evening. Because if you're working in the evening on Sunday, you can do the morning section, which if it starts by the same time of Saturday, which is 11 o'clock. So someone that has work on Sunday evening cannot attend the Sunday session completely. Anyone.
I agree with you.
You understand?
I agree with you, Gona. Yes.
So
yes, absolutely.
I have another question. So I've already booked a one-on-one session because, like I told you, I'm in school. I'm studying project management currently, masters, and I want to know. I'm planning on doing a business analyst because looking at the content, I think I saw the course content yesterday when I was checking, and it has some things related to project management, and it has a bit of data analysis thing. So I just really want to have a one-on-one and see if it's a perfect blend for me, because I actually wanted to do data analytics before, but seeing the course content of the business analytics, I'm thinking of moving to that because it has so many things similar. Like it's something that like adds to what I'm already doing now currently. So I just want to have a clarity on that.
Okay. All right. Very good questions, Ugona. So yes, the first question, you can use your school Office 365 for the program. However, Office 365 is not a prerequisite. You don't need to have it. If you have any type of Excel, most especially from Excel 2016 and above, you are good to go. If you have Office 365, fantastic. It means you have the latest updates and everything. That's beautiful. All right, so that covers that. Sundays, we really haven't gotten, most of the feedback we get, is, the Sunday classes initially used to start from 12. That was about 2 years ago. About 2 years ago, our Sunday classes used to start from 12. But again, from feedback from participants that, I go to church, I don't get back by 12. I need to be, so we had to move the time to accommodate. So then we did just a general survey to see the time that was most appropriate. And 2 p.m. was the time that we came up with, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Sundays. All right. Unfortunately, we might not be able to change that time. For the other class, if you join the class for in the evening, that's those in the North America, Canada, American region. I think their class starts around 7 p.m. in the UK. That's UK time. Starts around 7 p.m. 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Okay, I don't know if that would be ideal for you. All right. But that's what it is at the moment. Okay. So the class on Sundays, because of general feedback over the years, we had to move it to 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. to accommodate, since it's a Sunday and it's a time when people go to church and things like that, we had to accommodate. Now, your last question on project management and business analysis. Yes, you scheduled your one-on-one session. Brilliant, fantastic. But I'm telling you what they'll tell you during the one-on-one session, which is project management and business analysis is a perfect blend in terms of the complementary skills. All right. Now, the business analysis program, I break it down into 3 major parts. The first part is the data analytics part. The second part is the project management part. And the last part is the core business analysis bit. All right. How is that so? The first part, data analytics, you are learning. You saw what Adenka came to present. Your presentations, you would learn how to use Excel to create dashboards, how to extract insights from the dashboard, how to tell a story from what you've created, and so on and so forth. All right. You'd also learn how to use Power BI to do the same, to visualize your data, to analyze, come up with insight, data storytelling, and all of that. And you would understand how to use SQL. And this is where people always ask, do I need to learn SQL? Why SQL? I'm not a programmer. I'm not this. I'm not that. SQL is that number 1 skill that anybody who would have to work with data at any point in time needs to understand the use of SQL, because in the real world, no organization would have their data in simple CSVs or Excel and so on and so forth. The data would be in a database somewhere. It would be in an ERP that you can extract it into a database and so on and so forth. So your understanding of SQL becomes very, very important. So that's the data analytics part. The project management part is where you learn project initiation planning. You learn different methodologies, Agile, Scrum, Waterfall, and so on and so forth. You'd learn how to manage projects, track your project activities and deliverables using different tools from Jira to Trello and all of that. And then the core business analysis part is your process mapping, your elicitation, your stakeholder analysis and management, process optimization, and all of those other areas that we talked about earlier. So looking at project management, which is what you are doing in your master's at the moment, it complements your business analysis skills. And having the 2, project management, business analysis, you would have skills that would position you for so many numerous opportunities in the job market. All right. So if you asked me personally what I think as a project manager, somebody doing MSc project management, what's the best for me? My answer would be business analysis, given all the reasons I just enumerated. And I hope that helped to answer your question. Fumi is asking, what's the difference between the business analysis and data analytics? Totally different, totally. And let me explain very quickly. As a data analyst, your major objective is making sense of the data that the company generates. How do you extract insights from the data the company generates using your different analytic tools like Excel, Power BI, Tableau, SQL, how to tell stories using your data, and you'd also learn Microsoft Fabric for data analytics. The major difference between the 2, as the data analyst, you understand the depth of data analytics, descriptive and diagnostic analytics. If you bring a data analyst and a business analyst understanding of Excel, there will be a lot of difference in the depth of the skill, because as the business analyst, that's not your focus. Your focus is not on analyzing data, creating dashboards and all of that, but you have that in your curriculum to help position you for the best jobs out there, because organizations need the business analyst to have that skill as well. But when you look at the core, the in-depth, the depth in the skill level between the 2, the data analyst has a lot more skills, in addition to more tools like Tableau and Microsoft Fabric. Now, people would ask, what's Microsoft Fabric? Microsoft Fabric is simply an all-in-one platform. It's a new technology developed by Microsoft that encompasses all the different facets of analytics, from data science to data engineering to the data analytics bit. So everything in one single platform. So I can create my data warehouse, my data lake in Microsoft Fabric. I can run my Python codes, run my Python codes, optimize, create my different machine learning models, do all the things I need to do, my exploratory data analysis using a Python notebook. I can do that in Microsoft Fabric. I can write my SQL queries, run queries to extract data, perform analysis from the data warehouse, still within Microsoft Fabric. I can also build my dashboards using Power BI from that data warehouse, still within Microsoft Fabric. So it's simply an all-in-one platform that contains all the different Fabric items, which are your data engineering, data science, data analytics, and data analytics bits of the analytics ecosystem. Why is it important? It's important because companies have started shifting to Fabric, especially companies that have most of their systems predominantly Microsoft. All right, so they run maybe Microsoft SQL Server, Microsoft SSMS, SQL Server Management System, Microsoft Power BI, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Power BI. They tend to move towards Microsoft Fabric, which has all of those different items within the platform. Okay, so that's the reason why as a data analyst, you would need to also learn Microsoft Fabric. But a data analyst would not do process optimization. A data analyst would not elicit requirements from stakeholders. That's the role of the business analyst. The role of the data analyst is to get the data wherever the data is and understand what happened in the business, looking at the data the company has generated, and also finding out why that particular thing happened. Why do we have an increase in revenue? Why do we have a decline? All right, those are the questions the data analyst will be answering using the different analytic tools. While the business analyst, the focus is more on what? Optimizing processes, establishing the current processes, looking for inefficiencies, plugging the gaps, optimizing those processes. That's the core focus, initiating projects, managing those projects to ensure that the company achieves its fundamental objective. In doing that, you'd also equip yourself with data analytics skills. But remember, the data analytics skills I talked about is the core focus for the data analyst. And that's where you have a divergence between the two roles. One is the core for the data analyst. The other one is just a nice to have for the business analyst. You get a certificate at the end of your program to show that you've completed the program, you've completed your capstone project, and you have the skill to get a job out there as a business analyst. Okay, what's the difference between a database analyst and data analytics? A database analyst is an analyst that works with databases. You run SQL queries. That's mostly going to be your major activity, running queries to analyze data within the different databases in the business. While as a data analyst, you're not just focusing on one particular aspect or one particular tool, which is SQL. You're focusing on a diverse set of skills and diverse set of tools, right? So database analysts, you're going to create databases. You're going to create databases, updates, insert data into the database, delete data into the database, create the databases itself, the CRUD operations, basically. And then you would run queries to do analysis on what the database eventually contains. But as a data analyst, you are doing a lot more than that. You are also working with Excel, with Power BI, with Tableau, and so many other tools. SQL is part of your program, all right? At my certificates, our participants work in the best organizations across the globe. And one thing I also want to quickly highlight while we wrap up our session is employers would never ask you they'll never ask you to provide a certificate. especially for those who are outside the country. When I say outside the country, I mean in the major economies, in the UK, in Canada, in the US. You want to work remotely. The focus is on the skill. You'll be assessed. You'll be given case studies to solve, and you'll be asked to present. Can you actually solve the problem? All right. Over the course of my 10 years within the analytics space, and also working with different companies on different projects, nobody has, they don't even know if I have a master's or BSc, or if I have any certification or not. Of course, which I don't have. All right. The major thing any employer wants to see is you have the capability to execute all the things they want you to come in to do. And I think I mentioned that earlier, and I'll quickly just show you how you can search for jobs. And that's what gives you a clear picture of what is required out there in the job market. And I want everybody to do this. And as I show you this, I'm going to wrap up the session for today. So let's go there and let's show you how to apply to jobs. So many job sites are available out there. And I'll show you the one for those in the UK. If you're also in Canada, where should you look for jobs? All right. Read.co.uk is one of my favorites. Read.co.uk. All right. I'm simply going to go to read.co.uk and let's search for a business analyst role. So here I type business analyst. All right. I don't want a specific location. Just give me across and let's click on search. Okay. So you have so many roles. Let's look for the ones that are a bit more recent. This is on the 9th of August, 40,000 to 45,000. 10th of August, 17th. Let's look at the one on the 17th because it's more recent. I'll right click and select that. This is also 5 days ago. I'll right click and select. And let's look at what they require for this particular role. Okay, and just walk with me. Let's look at it together very quickly. Okay, so this is a business analyst role somewhere in the UK. It's a permanent full-time role, all right? As a business analyst, what are they looking for? So the client is currently undergoing a large investment in their operation. So now is a good time to join and be part of the exciting transformation, all right? It's in Swindon in the UK. What do they need? They need somebody who knows how to use the agile waterfall methodologies. You have a background in agile and waterfall. You have functional knowledge. You know how to use Jira and Confluence, which are part of the things you'd learn in the program, all right? Experience working within multinational teams would be preferable, and so on and so forth. This is what this particular role requires. Now, how do you know if an employer would ask if you have a certification or not? They would clearly indicate it. And this is one of the major misconceptions. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, listen to so many sessions we've had over the years. People have this misconception that I must have a master's degree, I must have a certification, I must have so many years of experience to get a job, I must have studied statistics, I must have studied MBA, and all those misconceptions, which are totally wrong. All right. So again, you look at the requirements. Let's look at others and see. Okay. Let's see. This is hybrid. It's in Edinburgh. They have 3 locations: London, Edinburgh, or Leeds. It's hybrid, 2 days per week. £85,000. Absolutely phenomenal. 5% bonus. But let's see the requirements. What do they need you to do? You're going to be collaborating with the business architect, all right, to deliver process maps. Process what? Maps. What we did today, similar to that, all right? Let's see, what do they need you to have? Successful candidates will be a seasoned business analyst with 5 to 10 years relevant experience. Now, when you see 5 to 10 years, what do you do? And this is a question people always ask, but we crack the code for you. How do we crack the code? Have you worked before? If the answer is yes, how many years of experience? Let's assume you have 6 years or 5 years experience working as an accountant or as a bank teller. What we do during your CV review session is show you how to convert your past experience to include the business analysis activities you've learned how to do, the business analysis skills, stakeholder analysis. And I'll give you a typical example of how we used that for somebody who owned her bakery in Nigeria. She owned her bakery. She had never worked professionally before. Right from when she got out of the university, she's been an entrepreneur. She had her own bakery, baking cakes and pastries. And what happened? Her husband was moving to the UK. They needed to move together. And she reached out to Tenalytics to say, oh, what do I do? How do I get a job? And what career path do you think would suit me? Eventually, she went for the business analysis. To cut the story short, how did she develop a CV? This is somebody who has never even worked before. Very simple. You're not going to put yourself as the owner of that company. You were an employee in the company as a business analyst. And all the experience you had, we converted it to business analysis experience. How? Now, for you to start creating different cakes and pastries for customers, you sit down with the customer to understand what they want. Is it for a wedding? Is it for a particular type of event? What shape, what color, and all of that, which is simply elicitation. You are getting information from the customer, gathering the requirements that they need for you to come up with a solution, which is the cake you're going to bake for them. All right. So you have that skill, you have elicitation, you've done requirements gathering, you've worked with different stakeholders, your vendors, your suppliers, and so on. That's stakeholder management. How do you ensure you work with those type of people? So at the end of the day, we reviewed her CV to have all the areas which related to business analysis. At the end of the day, today she currently works as a business analyst with one of the companies here in the UK. All right. And that's how you solve the problem of 5 to 10 years. Now, the moment you tell people that, oh, I've only learned business analysis for 3 months, you're not going to get that job. And this is where CV review becomes very important. And it's packaging. It's packaging. At the end of the day, can you defend the skills that you have? What you've said you've done, can you defend them? And the answer is yes, because you've done all of those things. You know what you need to do to map out a process. You've done dashboards in Excel. You've done in Power BI. You know how to use Jira. You know how to use Confluence for collaboration and so on and so forth. So that's how you crack the nuts. Okay. So what techniques do you need to know as a business analyst? Gap analysis, business processes, flow diagrams, option papers, business activity models, use cases, user stories, user journeys. And these are things that anybody can do. Anybody can do. You can apply to this job once you've completed the program. Okay, what brought us here? The question on, oh, do I need a particular certification? Do I need a particular, do I need a particular certification? Do I need a particular years of experience? Do I need to have studied this in the university? You'd never see any of that as part of the job requirements. And this particular role, posted 5 days ago, is what? £85,000, well above the industry average. And there are so many roles like that you can check. For those in Canada, you can check ZipRecruiter. You can check monster.ca, monster.ca. All right. And then you search for business analyst roles. Okay. Business analyst jobs. Okay. Monsters can take a while sometimes, but for those in Canada, search on Monster and you get different roles within the business analysis space. So I think I'm going to call it a day. We're almost 3 hours into our session for today. All right. So I'm going to call it a day. So you see different business analyst roles over here. This is Iris. You look at the requirements. What do they expect you to do? This particular one is for I think a forex trading company, and you can see the data analysis tools they want you to understand: Excel and SQL, and data visualization platforms, which of course Power BI would fall into that. All right, and you see all the requirements that they need. Let's check this as well. This is another business analyst role. And then what do they want you to do? They want you to, let's see what the role is all about. They have 2 to 3 positions available, all right? And it's a full-time permanent. You'd work with the project managers implementing and coordinating projects. Let's go to the requirements, all right? They just want you to be highly intelligent, superb with communication and language skills, creative at problem solving, passionate about finding software solutions, all right? Gets deeply involved, takes pride in work, hardworking, fairly skilled Excel user, all right? Nice to have, which is if you have them, good. If you don't, it doesn't mean you will not get the job. Ability to see opportunities, pragmatic approach, strong technical skills, expert Excel user. That's a nice to have. So go to job descriptions and look at them. And that's where you start to see if you fit into the roles or not. Don't listen to what people say. You follow people, you get lost completely. And that's why a lot of the problems, I would say, because I'm Nigerian, a lot of the problems Nigerians face in the UK, in Canada, is everybody says this is the only way you can get something done. And the herd mentality, everybody follows that way. And because of the lack of information out there, all right, to do your own research. So take out time and search things yourself. And that's where you get, the information that you need eventually, all right? So I'd love to say a big thank you to everybody. For those who have not been able to take your questions, I deeply apologize for that. Please, we're going to have our final masterclass tomorrow. So feel free to join, and perhaps we'll have more time to take questions then. We'll also while we send you the recording and the materials for today's session, you'll also be sent a link for you to indicate for a one-on-one session, just like the gentleman initially said he had the need for a one-on-one session, all right? We'll get to meet with you and, answer the questions we couldn't take during our session today, all right? So take out time, look through all the slides. And of course, you have your facilitators, like I said, who are absolutely fantastic. Myself, Linda, who has been a business analyst for the last 10 years, working with some of the biggest companies. Oluseun works with Visa as a product reliability manager in the UK. Nena, also a product manager in the UK. Olabisi works with Access Bank as a Scrum Master business analyst. You have Victor, who also works as a business analyst, and absolutely phenomenal people. So take out time and go through all the materials when you get them later today or tomorrow on Sunday. Now, what I always advise people to do is this: follow us across all our social media platforms. Today might not be when you join the program, and we've had people like that. If you also have people you think can benefit from this program, share it with them. Send a message to them. When you get the recording, share it with them. Let them also get to see that the opportunity is available. For us, the goal is to ensure that we bring in as many Africans and people of the Black community into the tech space, the tech industry. I go into a company in the UK and I see an African, somebody that looks like me, working as a business analyst somewhere within that company, all right? Follow us across all our platforms on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, across on Twitter, X currently, formerly Twitter, and you get to see details of everything that we've got to offer and the amazing work we've been doing within the space. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your Sunday. And until we meet in another session like this again, have an amazing time, and cheers, everybody. Thank you, Greg, for contributing Thank you, Greg, Alexander, Toju, Engineer Agbaje, for supporting me at the beginning of the session. Deeply appreciate your contribution. Thank you, everybody. See you some other time.